working and you see it from here. Yes, it's on, but what was going on? No.
Timer is not working?
That's what I'm. Let me call them.
Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I call to order the 6th plenary meeting of the 4th session of the United Nations Environment Assembly. Before starting this morning's segment of national statements, I would like to invite 3 distinguished speakers to briefly address the Assembly within the time limit set for national statements. I would like now to invite His Excellency Mr. Michael Kutyka, Minister for Environment of Poland and President of the Conference of Parties of the UN Framework Convention for Climate Change, to deliver his statement. You have the floor, sir.
Distinguished Commissioner, distinguished President of CBD COP, Yasmin Fuat, I'm very happy to see you here. Honorable Ministers, I'm very honored to address you today at this UNEP meeting as the President of COP24, which ended in Katowice with the adoption of a rule book. And this rule book makes Paris Agreement alive. And as you may recall, when we have agreed in Paris in 2015, we have agreed on a global set of principles. But then these principles needed to be put into action, into a framework. And this framework was achieved by you, by the entire planet, in Katowice, and I would like, first of all, starting my intervention, to thank all ministers here for valuable contribution and for the fact that we, as the planet, have right now framework to implement the Paris Agreement. And special thanks for those of you who contributed in a very tense and intense manner, working night and day in Katowice to deliver the Katowice rulebook. So my special thanks goes also to Yasmin Fuat, Minister from Egypt. She was running one of the key elements of this discussion. So the Katowice rulebook was a huge and difficult step forward and undoubtedly a reason for celebration. However, finalizing Katowice rulebook is only another step on a long climate change journey, and our planetary success is still far from guaranteed. And today, together, I think we have an opportunity to ask ourselves, how do we stimulate the level of effort by the governments and consequently by our societies? Today, here in UNEP, we focus on sustainable production and consumption and the culture of innovation as an enabler towards reaching our goals. And rightly so, the key role of engagement and leadership, social acceptance, inclusiveness and fairness, solidarity and just transition is underscored in this deliberation. We need a people-centered approach to a successful climate action. And in three elements which for me are pillars of climate action, which is governance, technology and people, we can proudly say that the governance is here. We have Paris Agreement, we have Katowice rulebook. Technologies are there. We have a number of technologies which are available whenever it's in photovoltaics, wind technology, clean energy, waste management, electromobility, transportation, all is in place. Right now what we need is that we need to focus on people. And this is something that we have also marked in Katowice by adoption of Silesia Declaration on Solidarity and Just Transition. So a socially sensitive climate regulations which take a fair economic and human rights approach toward inducing this deep transition are a must.
I thank you, Your Excellency. I would now like to invite Her Excellency Dr. Yasmin Fuad, Minister for Environmental Affairs and President of the Conference of Parties of the Convention on Biological Diversity, to deliver a statement.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, ministers, distinguished and honorable participants. 25 years ago, in this building, the international community have adopted the text of the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. Last November, Egypt has hosted the CBD COP14 with more than 7,000 participants from member states, from experts, from scientists, from civil society. 98% of the participation for the Convention of Biological Diversity and 100% of the Nagoya Protocol. A record that has to be identified and recorded. We came out of the CBD COP14 with a number of decisions and declarations. Sharm el-Sheikh to China Action Agenda, Africa Action Agenda on Ecosystem Restoration, and a global initiative for addressing biodiversity loss, climate change, land and ecosystem degradation. And most important, we came out with the processes and the content for the post-2020 framework for biodiversity and the roadmap. The mainstreaming of the biodiversity in the development sectors such as energy, infrastructure, health, mining, all those were intensively discussed with those that are not relevant to the sector, and that was the added value. The ministers of finance, of energy, of health, and of housing were part of that dialogue, were part of that process, and that made a difference. Yet, with that 25 years of hard work, nature is aggressively and fiercely shouting and shaking us. We all know that our planet will not sustain our deeds. The first message that should be addressed here to the UNEA is that we have to act boldly, speedily, and collectively, and not acting to fight the loss of the biodiversity, but acting also to fight the adverse impact of climate change and land degradation. Yesterday, we've convened the ministerial dialogue, not even to think of drawing the roadmap or the elements of the roadmap of the post-2020 framework, but also to think that how can we act from here to 2020? We need to work on parallel track. Time is of great essence. My third message is that we need to raise our ambition, and ambitions means commitment and pledges. It is my pleasure to announce that yesterday we have launched the online platform for Sharm el-Sheikh to China. And that was a commitment that myself and my sister, Christiana Pashka-Palmer, have made during the conference. And now it's launched. Every commitment at that time mattered. Every commitment will add value to our process, will save a species, will conserve a wetland or a mangrove, or at least will stop a wrong action to be done. If there is a will, I believe there will be 1,000 ways to achieve our targets. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We will now resume our session of national statements. Our order for the session is as set out in the speaker's list. Should you need to consult the list, our conference room officer will be of assistance. Before I invite our first speaker, I want to remind our delegates that during Tuesday's plenary session, it was decided that a timer will be set in front of the speaker on the left in order to monitor the allocated time of 3 minutes while speaking. Secondly, the microphone will automatically turn off after the allotted speaking time and a small grace period. I urge all delegates to exhibit restraint and make your statement within the allotted time. Please be informed that a video and a written text of statements made will be published on the website of the Environment Assembly. On this note, I would like to remind delegations that have not sent their statements to the Secretariat yet to do so. It is now my honor to invite His Excellency Alexander Tiabo, Minister for Environment, Lands and Agricultural Development of Kiribati, to make a statement. You have the floor, sir.
Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Kiribati in the Pacific Ocean. At the outset, let me express my deep condolences to those affected by the tragic plane crash in Ethiopia. Mr. President, we are here today because we all have responsibility to secure good health of the planet for the next generation. This is a shared responsibility as citizens sharing common heritage, the Earth. With the environmental dimension of the 2030 Agenda, the SDGs are indeed a good metric of assessing national and international efforts for the health of the environment. Kiribati has moved forward in all SDGs, as outlined in our VNRO report. Our progress is also aligned with the Samoa Pathway, Istanbul Plan of Action, Framework for Pacific Regionalism, and more. These include the achievement of the SDG 15.4 and IG Target 11 with the full closure of the Phoenix Island Protected Area. A ban on the importation of single-use shopping plastic in our battle against plastic. Integration of waste management with agriculture and livestock through organic waste as a means of alleviating youth unemployment, which is high at 54%. Achievement of 15% of our renewable energy target with introduction of 1.45 megawatts of solar into the power grid. This reduces our carbon emission by 1,400 tons and fuel savings of 450,000 annually. Government collaboration with women and youth to create a national park made entirely of waste materials to promote reuse of waste. Mr. President, our technological and financial constraints mean that circularity is not possible in Kiribati. The absence of recycling facility prompted us to export PET bottles, aluminum cans, and lead batteries for recycling abroad. The rest end up in the landfill. Our remoteness, scatteredness of our islands, and night transportation cost inhibits our efforts for a circular economy. Climate change impact is adding more stress. Mr. President, a cornerstone of this year's theme is that in promoting a culture of innovation, no one should be left behind. Kiribati and its Pacific neighbors are obviously far behind. We call on the international community to provide financial and technical assistance to provide workable solutions on our islands. We also call on our support for strengthening the UNEP presence in the Pacific region. Mr. President, deriving greater value from innovation is not simply about the technology, new technology, but also innovation in our leadership. About half of the world's population, including Kiribati, depend on the ocean for their daily subsistence and cultural heritage. Kiribati is made up of over 99% of ocean and less than 1% is land. 75% of our revenue comes from fishing license, which funds key programs such as health and education. The blueprints of our National Development Agenda for the next 20 years, or COP24, focuses on fisheries and tourism. Both rely on the good health of the ocean. For us and many other ocean states, ocean pollution is too critical to ignore. We need a legally binding instrument to curb marine litter, and most importantly, to protect those whose lives and future depend on the ocean. No one must be left behind. I conclude by bestowing traditional blessings of my country of good health, peace, and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May I now invite the next speaker, Her Excellency Ms. Anita de Leon, Minister of Housing, Land Planning and Environment of Uruguay. You have the floor, ma'am.
Señor Presidente, Uruguay es un país profundamente comprometido con el cuidado del ambiente y la gestión sostenible de los ecosistemas. Este compromiso es para nosotros un pilar esencial para alcanzar un desarrollo sostenible que permita mejorar la calidad de vida de las generaciones actuales y futuras. Ya se aprobó el Plan Nacional Ambiental para un Desarrollo Sostenible, que es un instrumento estratégico. Es producto de un proceso de consulta ciudadana, academia, de todos los niveles de gobierno y sociedad civil. En conjunto con el Plan Nacional de Aguas, definir el caudal mínimo es nuestro próximo paso para tener el control sobre todos los recursos de agua a nivel nacional. Profundizamos el trabajo en materia de protección de los océanos, somos socios en la campaña Mares Limpios y hemos aprobado recientemente la Ley de Uso Sustentable de Bolsas Plásticas. Tenemos un proyecto de ley para la gestión integral de residuos. Reafirmamos nuestro compromiso con el Acuerdo de París, que no tiene marcha atrás, y en el 2017 adoptamos la Política Nacional de Cambio Climático y la primera contribución determinada a nivel nacional. Estamos comprometidos con el desarrollo de medidas de adaptación, entre las cuales se encuentran planes nacionales en materia de costas, agricultura, ciudades e infraestructuras, salud y energía. Reafirmamos que la lucha contra el cambio climático es esencial para atender las vulnerabilidades de la región y en particular de los más excluidos, que son los que sufren en mayor medida las consecuencias adversas. Uruguay no es un país contaminante, pero mayormente sufre sus consecuencias. Esta Estrategia Nacional para Conservación y Uso Sustentable de la Diversidad Biológica, su principal instrumento de política para combatir las causas de la pérdida de la biodiversidad y mitigar sus efectos, es una de las formas para recomponer los ecosistemas naturales, esencialmente los montes nativos. Nuestro Sistema Nacional de Áreas Protegidas integra personas que viven y hacen uso de sus espacios, de los sitios reconocidos como reservas de biosfera y de Ramsar. Uruguay asumió la responsabilidad de copresidir el proceso de revisión del programa de Montevideo 4 para el desarrollo y revisión periódica del derecho ambiental. En esta sesión se deberá aprobar el programa de Montevideo 5, que permitirá fortalecer la red de puntos focales y la división de Derecho Ambiental de ONU Ambiente a nivel central y regional. Este es el camino para generar mayor conciencia ambiental en las sociedades, los estados, en el cuidado del lugar en el que queremos vivir y proteger a los más vulnerables y próximas generaciones. Le damos la bienvenida al informe global de Outlook de Químicos y Desechos, que consideramos uno de los documentos base para este encuentro del próximo mes en Montevideo, el cual los esperamos. Y por último, es importante señalar el compromiso de Uruguay en el proceso del Pacto Mundial para el Medio Ambiente. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your statement. I now have the pleasure to invite Her Excellency Ms. Josefa Sako, Commissioner for Rural Economy and Agriculture of the African Union. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you warm greeting from the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, to this Grand Assembly. The African Union Commission stands in prayers and solidarity to all the victims of the Ethiopian airline plane crash that occurred last Sunday on 10th of March and present its deep and sincere condolences to the government and the family of the victim. Please allow me to register my appreciation to the government and the people of the Republic of Kenya for their warm hospitality, and I also like to applaud the United Nations Environment Programme for convening the 4th session of the United Nations Environment Assembly. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Africa is no longer proud to boast about endowment in terms of natural resources. We want these resources to serve as a vehicle for the realization of our Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, and Agenda 23, the Sustainable Development Goal. However, the continent is not spared from various environmental challenges that have adverse impact on its society, economy, and the environment. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, permit me now to quote some statistics. The Global Resource Outlook 2019 on Natural Resources for the Future We Want, published by UNEP, reveals that natural resource extraction and processing makes up approximately 50% of the total greenhouse gas emission, and that the resource-related impact on water stress and biodiversity loss due to land use are even more significant at over 90%. This threatens the realization of the goal of the Paris Agreement and of reducing global temperature rises. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this calls for action at all levels, and at the government level, international organizations, the business sector, non-state actors, and individuals must all contribute towards attainment of sustainable consumption and production pattern. We also need to mobilize finance and technical support required to strengthen developing countries in science, technology, innovation capacity for greenhouse economy, for green economy. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I am glad to inform this noble assembly that during the 32nd ordinary section of the African Union Assembly held in February 2019, the African Union Commission, in collaboration with UNEP, convened a high-level meeting of the African First Lady to launch a continental campaign on banning the plastic use in Africa. We are also working on development on continental framework, including the climate change strategy, the sustainable forest management framework, and various initiatives. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to end this statement by reiterating the willingness of the African Union Commission to engage with all stakeholders and development pattern for sustainable consumption in Africa. I thank you very much. Muito obrigado. Merci beaucoup. Shukran.
Thank you, Excellency, for your statement. I may now invite His Excellency Professor Joseph Seka, Minister of Environment of Côte d'Ivoire. You have the floor, sir.
Monsieur le Président, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, tout protocole considéré, je voudrais à la table de mon propos et à l'instar de tous ceux qui m'ont précédé à cette tribune, adresser mes condoléances les plus attristées à toutes les familles éplorées par la perte d'un parent dans le cadre de l'avion de la compagnie Ethiopian Airlines. Mes condoléances vont également au gouvernement et au peuple du Kenya, à qui j'adresse aussi mes remerciements pour l'accueil chaleureux dont nous avons fait l'objet tout au long de notre séjour. Monsieur le Président, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, la Côte d'Ivoire, mon pays, est confrontée, comme tous les pays en développement, à plusieurs problèmes environnementaux, notamment la disparition du couvert forestier, l'appauvrissement des sols, la pollution des eaux, la pollution de l'air, la dégradation du milieu urbain, l'érosion de la biodiversité et de la gestion des déchets solides. Face à ces problèmes, la Côte d'Ivoire, sous la houlette de son Excellence M. Alassane Ouattara, président de la République, a pris certaines résolutions des engagements politiques qui se déclinent en 2 points, à savoir le renforcement du cadre institutionnel juridique et le soutien au secteur économique et aux domaines environnementaux prioritaires. Sur le plan législatif et réglementaire, les mesures adoptées par le gouvernement ivoirien visent à assurer la prise en compte de l'environnement et la préservation de la biodiversité dans les projets agricoles et halieutiques, l'industrialisation, l'extraction minière, la production d'énergie et les projets d'aménagement du territoire, ainsi que la promotion des modes de consommation et de production durables. Aujourd'hui, la plupart des politiques de Côte d'Ivoire, politiques stratégiques et plans, ainsi que les projets sectoriels, prennent en compte dans leur conception et leur mise en œuvre les préoccupations environnementales et sociales. De plus, un office de gestion des parcs nationaux et réserves naturelles, ainsi qu'une fondation des parcs et réserves ont été également créés. La fondation ayant pour objectif de garantir le financement des activités de l'Office afin de pérenniser les actions de protection et de restauration. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, sur le plan stratégique, le gouvernement de Côte d'Ivoire a adopté, entre autres, un programme national d'investissement agricole et de seconde génération pour la période 2018-2025, en vue d'assurer un modèle de développement plus durable et résilient au changement climatique. Notre pays s'est engagé depuis 2011 dans le mécanisme international de réduction des émissions de gaz à effet de serre dû à la déforestation et à la dégradation des forêts, le mécanisme du REDD+. Pour ce qui concerne l'agriculture zéro déforestation, notre pays développe des projets et programmes de durabilité à travers l'initiative Cacao et Forêt. La conversion d'être nature nous a également permis de réaliser plusieurs projets environnementaux dont la protection et la restauration des écosystèmes forestiers protégés. En matière de gestion des déchets, des efforts importants ont été réalisés. Il s'agit entre autres de la reconstitution et l'exploitation du centre de groupage et de transfert et d'un centre d'enfouissement technique dans le district d'Abidjan. Par ailleurs, la création de zones d'importance économique
Thank you, Excellency. Unfortunately, your time allocated by the Assembly has expired. Kindly send your written statement to the Secretariat so that it may be uploaded on the UN Environment Assembly website. I hereby urge the distinguished delegates to limit statements to the allotted time, as the microphone automatically cuts off at 3 minutes and a short period of grace. I have the pleasure now to invite His Excellency Mr. Moses Vilakati, Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs of Eswatini. You have the floor.
Mr. President, honorable ministers, excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to represent the Kingdom of Eswatini at this high-level environment event. Our sincere condolences goes to the UN family, affected families, and the Ethiopian government for the tragic loss of lives aboard the ET-301. May I also take this opportunity to thank the government of Kenya for the warm hospitality that has been afforded to me and my delegations since our arrival. Your Excellencies, the Kingdom of Eswatini aligns itself with the sentiment expressed by the Africa Group and believes that this assembled theme on innovative solutions to environmental challenges and sustainable consumption and production is more relevant now than ever. This is mainly because we are on a track to ecological and resources collapse if innovative actions on preserving the environment are not given the utmost importance they deserve. Our societies need to adapt in order to provide economic development required to sustain the increasing population. Technology and innovation should be in the heart of our environmental initiatives and is crucial for achieving sustainable development. At policy level, it is especially important to develop an enabling framework and market opportunities for new sustainable systems and products that have a potential to lead into transitions. As countries, we should strive to create such options and technologies. As a country, Eswatini, we are currently establishing a national recognition scheme for the private sector for sound management of waste. It focuses on the role that small, medium, and large businesses can play in waste management. Their interventions will be quantified in monetary terms based on the budget they spend, and they will be awarded the Clean Eswatini tokens. These tokens are classified into bronze, silver, and gold, which would match the investment and contribution made for cleaning the country. Those that further support communities to undertake their cleaning up activities will be awarded the status of environmental champions. Although this initiative is still at its infancy, the Kingdom has experienced an upsurge in waste recycling centers led by communities, municipalities, and businesses. The second innovation at policy level is our Chiefdom Development Planning process, which focuses on a bottom-up policy formulation and implementation process that focuses on local communities as core to development planning. This approach has greatly assisted the country in promoting a community-based ecosystem management where community leaders are at the forefront. Through the process, we have witnessed wetland rehabilitation by communities for improved and sustainable water and fodder availability. In one area alone, local community women reported having made an annual net income approximately $90 from the sale of wetland reeds. The government has recently prioritized ecotourism as a pillar of the next frontier for Eswatini economic growth. The country will adopt a robust investment strategy in tourism, maximizing on our historical, cultural, and natural resources. It is such small initiatives that gives us hope that together we can provide nature-based solutions to environmental problems. Global environmental challenges like climate change, biodiversity loss, waste and pollution costs global nations fortunes that could otherwise be invested in sustainable development, hence the need to focus on options aimed at improving environmental innovations. In conclusion, the Kingdom of Eswatini stands ready to continue collaborating during the course of the Assembly and look forward to robust, ambitious, and implementable.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I have the pleasure now to invite His Excellency Surveyor Sulaiman Zarma, Minister of Environment of Nigeria, to take the floor.
Mr. President, Excellencies, heads of delegations, ladies and gentlemen, please let me convey my heartfelt condolences to the families of the 157 passengers that recently got tragically killed on the crashed Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. My delegation expresses appreciation to the government of Kenya for the wonderful arrangements made to facilitate hitch-free UNIA 4. Nigeria is pleased to be part of UNIA 4 with the theme Innovative Solutions for Environmental Challenges and Sustainable Consumption and Production. Nigeria supports the global efforts, initiatives, and best practices in tackling the ever-challenging global environmental issues. My delegation supports building strong partnerships and collaboration with member countries to promote information sharing, best practices, knowledge, and experiences that will support development with the conviction that the setting of a global agenda framework and priorities for implementation of resolutions reached at the Assembly would contribute to innovative solutions for environmental challenges and sustainable consumption and production. Mr. President, permit me to highlight some of Nigeria's efforts and successes in the process of tackling its peculiar environmental issues in line with global best practices. Towards meeting the Paris Agreement, Nigeria launched a sovereign green bond in 2017 to meet the commitments of our National Determined Contribution, NDC. Nigeria's green bonds aim to raise capital specifically to support climate-related renewable energy, energy efficiency, and environmental projects. A national adaptation strategy plan of action for climate that has been put in place to improve local and adaptive capacities and resilience to climate change. In addressing environmental pollution arising from industrial and other domestic activities, Nigeria is mainstreaming chemicals and waste management issues into our national development plan and presently also developing a national action plan on mercury use in artisanal and small-scale gold mining sector. In line with the principles of circular economy, a national policy on plastic waste management is being developed. We also appreciate GEF support for the commencement of the e-waste management projects, among others. Oil spill and gully erosions in part of Nigeria are major environmental challenges, and to mitigate these efforts are being put in place to address them through the United Nations and World Bank support projects of hydrocarbon pollution remediation, HYPREP, and Nigeria Erosion and Waste Management, NUMAP, respectively. Nigeria has adapted to the use of agroforestry for sustainable forest management. Consequently, the adoption of bamboo and rattan has reduced consumption reliance on hardwood. National efforts are in place towards combating illegal trade and loss of biodiversity. Finally, Nigeria commends the efforts of UNEP in scaling up efforts towards tackling common environmental challenges. I thank you for listening, Mr. President.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your statement. I now invite His Excellency Mr. Fadi Jesati, Minister of Environment of Lebanon, to deliver a statement.
Good morning. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great honor to attend this Environment Assembly and to exchange on pressing global and local issues affecting the environment and the well-being of the people living on this planet. This year's theme of the Environment Assembly is close to Lebanon's priorities. Our government's policy statement of February 2019 has called for the development and adoption of a national sustainable development strategy for Lebanon, which will align Lebanon's development agenda with United Nations Agenda 2030. However, Lebanon is facing key challenges in its environment sustainability, and our environmental situation is significantly exacerbated by the impact of the Syria crisis on our environment, in light of the presence of 1.5 million displaced from Syria, who are adding up to the Palestinian refugees in Lebanon. As I speak, this displaced population in Lebanon constitutes over 35% of Lebanon population, and Lebanon now ranks as the country with the highest number of displaced per inhabitant in the world. While Lebanon has shown exceptional solidarity regarding this crisis, this has come at a high cost at all levels, including a significant environmental impact, stretching our infrastructure and leading to extensive pollution of our water, air, and land resources. Despite these challenges, Lebanon has shown its commitment towards international environmental conventions and set out its agenda on natural resource management and protection. Several national and sectorial legislation, policies and strategies in Lebanon have incorporated sustainability principles in line with the country's commitment under multilateral environmental treaties, protocols, and conventions. For this purpose, Lebanon calls upon UNEA 4 to strengthen the implementation of resolutions adopted previously, such as UNEA 2 Resolution 15 of 4 August 2016 on the protection of the environment in areas affected by armed conflict. Lebanon would also like to call upon UN environment's engagement at the level of all its thematic areas of work, not only to support Lebanon in building resilience to the current crisis situation, but also to integrate environmental considerations and long-term sustainability at the level of all the environmental themes under its mandate. Last but not least, we urge UNEA to reiterate the UN General Assembly Resolution 73/224 adopted on December 2018 on the oil slick on the Lebanese shores, requesting Israel to assume responsibility for compensation to the government of Lebanon for the damage caused by the oil slick, which resulted from the oil spill during the Israel war over Lebanon in 2006, and which was estimated at $856 million. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I conclude by confirming that we are extending our hands to you to be able to respond to the tremendous environmental pressure so that Lebanon can achieve the needed leap in the conservation of our very rich but fragile ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I now invite His Excellency, Mr. Frank Nguema, Minister of Gabon. You have the floor, sir.
Excellences, Monsieur le Président, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, distingués délégués, au nom de la République gabonaise que je représente ici, je me joins tout d'abord aux familles éprouvées par la douleur causée suite à l'accident d'avion entraînant la disparition de nombreux frères et sœurs qui portaient l'espoir d'une planète plus propre. Mesdames et Messieurs, j'adresse mes plus vives et chaleureuses salutations ainsi que mes remerciements à l'endroit du peuple frère du Kenya pour son hospitalité. J'adresse aussi mes félicitations à Monsieur le Président de la 4e session de l'ANUE et Madame la Directrice exécutive par intérim de l'ONU Environnement pour leur volonté affirmée d'accélérer le train des réformes de notre organisation. Mesdames et Messieurs, le thème choisi cette année représente une problématique qui appelle l'action particulière de tous les pays à travers un développement qui tient compte de l'équité. En effet, mon pays, le Gabon, fait face à des défis socio-économiques et environnementaux pour lesquels des solutions sont envisagées. D'abord, la détérioration du cadre de vie et les effets néfastes du changement climatique nous ont imposé de prendre en amont des mesures de prévention contre les pollutions. C'est pourquoi le Gabon, sous l'impulsion du président de la République, chef de l'État, son Excellence Ali Bongo Ondimba, réaffirme ici son engagement de mettre en œuvre l'accord de Paris. C'est dans cette optique que le gouvernement gabonais a mis en place des mesures incitatives au profit des entreprises qui accompagnent le pays dans l'adaptation au changement climatique et la gestion des déchets qui sont source de création d'emplois. Notre plan d'action climat 2019 prévoit de maîtriser les émissions des gaz à effet de serre à travers la promotion d'une agriculture durable, des énergies renouvelables, de la gestion durable de nos 23,6 millions de forêts, d'hectares de forêt et la récupération des gaz torchés dans le secteur pétrolier. Le Gabon s'est fixé l'objectif ambitieux, dans sa contribution déterminée au niveau national, de réduire ses émissions de gaz à effet de serre de 50% à l'horizon 2025. En matière de préservation de la biodiversité, le gouvernement gabonais met l'accent sur la mise en œuvre du protocole de Nagoya pour l'accès et le partage des avantages issus des ressources génétiques et des savoirs associés en vue d'autonomiser les populations vulnérables. Mesdames et Messieurs, nous amorçons dans notre pays l'utilisation efficiente des ressources naturelles pour produire une énergie verte. Nous avons lancé un plan ambitieux de production d'électricité 100% propre, entre autres par la construction de nouveaux barrages hydroélectriques et des centrales solaires. Enfin, mesdames et messieurs, les solutions innovantes pour l'environnement, la consommation et la production durable doivent nous permettre de sortir des discours pour nous engager dans l'action, aux fins d'un véritable impact sur les populations en vue d'une réduction substantielle de la pauvreté en Afrique et dans notre pays, le Gabon. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite His Excellency Mr. Muhammad Shahab Uddin, Minister for Environment, Forests and Climate Change of Bangladesh.
Mr. President, Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. At the outset, I express my deepest condolence for the families, friends, and colleagues of the persons who died from a recent plane crash. May Allah place the departed soul in the heaven. Mr. President, I am pleased to inform you all that Bangladesh has been implementing an action plan and a roadmap for sustainable consumption and production. Economic growth and sustainable development require urgent reduction of ecological footprints. Ecosystem function in a circular way, so we should adopt a circular way of sustainable consumption and production following our natural ecosystem. The efficient management of our shared neutral resources and innovative ways of disposing waste and pollutions are imperative to achieve this goal. Mr. President, Bangladesh is a party of Basel Convention and Stockholm Convention and a signatory Minamata Convention of Mercury and follows prior informed consent for cross-border movement of chemicals. Bangladesh is having necessary laws, policies, strategies, programs, and implementing many projects for waste management. As we are generating increasing amount of waste, especially electronic waste, we have come up with an extended producer's responsibility to effectively manage ever-increasing e-waste. Bangladesh is one of the first few countries which banned use of plastic shopping bags. Bangladesh has been recycling plastic waste to produce polyfuel and productive biodegradable shopping bags from the jute cellulose. Mr. President, Bangladesh is a country of rivers and wetlands and has many unique water ecosystems. Mitigation of water pollution has been a challenge. We made effluent treatment mandatory and is going to monitor treatment plants online. We have been implementing zero discharge plants for industrial waste management. We have been implementing Bangladesh Delta Plan 2100, a 100-year plan to make the country climate resilient. Mr. President, Bangladesh has installed improved cook stoves in 1.5 million rural
Thank you, Excellency. It's now my pleasure to invite His Excellency Mr. Abdi Khalik Ustamov, Director of the State Agency on Environmental Protection and Forestry of the Kyrgyz Republic, to take the floor.
Спасибо большое. Уважаемый председатель, дамы и господа, разрешите вас приветствовать от имени правительства Кыргызской Республики, от себя лично. В начале своего выступления хотел бы выразить соболезнования народу Эфиопии, родным и близким погибших в авиакатастрофе. Уважаемые дамы и господа, уважаемый председатель, Кыргызская Республика привержена продвижению устойчивых и институциональных обществ к устойчивым потреблениям и моделям потребления и решения проблем окружающей среды с инновационными решениями. Мы все знаем о масштабах проблем, связанных с изменением экологического равновесия. Он поистине велик и затрагивает все сферы деятельности, но самое главное, ставит под угрозу достижение целей устойчивого развития. Цели устойчивого экологического равновесия интегрированы в стратегии устойчивого развития Кыргызской Республики до 2040 года. Принята концепция зеленой экономики, разработаны и реализуются планы действий в области изменения климата, сохранения биоразнообразия, устойчивого управления химическими веществами. Кыргызстан, как горная страна, активно принимает участие в международных горном движении для включения вопроса устойчивого горного развития и защиты интересов горных стран в повестку глобальных переговорных процессов и принятия решений по ряду глобальных вопросов, касающихся целей устойчивого развития. Свидетельством последовательной политики Кыргызстана по продвижению устойчивого развития в горных регионах служит провозглашение нашей страной инициативы на глобальном уровне, которые и сегодня остаются актуальными. В целях определения новых путей развития процветающего будущего горных регионов в 2018 году в Кыргызстане проведен 4-й Всемирный горный форум. В целях привлечения внимания мировой общественности к угрозе исчезновения снежного барса и сохранения ареалов его обитания по инициативе Кыргызской Республики проведен Всемирный форум по защите снежного барса. Данная инициатива поддержана 12 странами ареалов обитания снежного барса и принята глобальная программа GSLAP. В ходе достижения целей Aichi и обеспечения сохранения уникальных природных комплексов и биологического разнообразия за последние годы в Кыргызстане были созданы 3 больших национальных парка. И в этом году мы создадим еще один национальный парк, и при этом Кыргызстан, скорее всего, уже будет близок к исполнению тех своих возложенных задач по исполнению Конвенции по биологическому разнообразию. Мы ставим задачу внедрения процедур, учета параметров восстановительных возможностей и потенциальных на емкости экосистем при планировании социально-экономического развития страны. Задача интеграции ценностей биоразнообразия в экономическом решении и выработке системы надлежащего мониторинга во всех сферах природопользования поставлена в связи с требованием интеграции вопросов устойчивого развития в систему стратегического планирования. Также в республике актуальными остаются вопросы экологической безопасности, размещения и удаления твердобытовых отходов и опасных отходов, которые имеются в Кыргызстане постсоветского наследия. Мы принимаем первоначальные меры именно по запрету пластиковых пакетов
Thank you, Your Excellency. I now invite Her Excellency Ms. Albina Ruiz, Vice Minister of Environmental Management of Peru.
Permítanme iniciar esta intervención expresando la solidaridad del Perú con los familiares y amigos de las víctimas del terrible accidente aéreo del pasado domingo 10 de marzo. Señor Presidente, El Perú ha emprendido acciones en consumo y producción sostenible, buscando el desacoplamiento entre el uso de sus recursos, el crecimiento económico y el impacto ambiental. Transitamos hacia una economía circular, enfatizando la formación de capacidades y el desarrollo de infraestructura para la valorización de los residuos. Nuestros procesos de toma de decisiones y de diseño de políticas favorecen patrones de consumo y producción sostenibles. Hoy, el Perú está presente para ratificar su compromiso con el reto global que debe reflejarse en la implementación de políticas públicas renovadas, transparentes e inclusivas. Nuestros esfuerzos nacionales van alineados con la Agenda 2030 para el Desarrollo Sostenible, el Acuerdo de París sobre Cambio Climático, el Convenio sobre Diversidad Biológica y el Convenio de Minamata sobre el mercurio, entre otros acuerdos multilaterales. Además de haber incorporado nuestra normativa para la gestión de sitios contaminados y actualizado estándares de calidad ambiental, se ha apostado por la promoción del uso de tecnologías limpias en la minería de oro artesanal y de pequeña escala para disminuir los índices de contaminación y hacer sostenibles y viables las inversiones económicas, habiendo desarrollado un plan de aplicación nacional del Convenio de Minamata. A través de la Estrategia Nacional de Biodiversidad Biológica, al 2021, venimos trabajando decididamente en el mejoramiento del conocimiento y de las tecnologías para el uso sostenible de la biodiversidad y la revalorización de los conocimientos tradicionales de los pueblos indígenas. El Perú viene trabajando en un marco normativo que permite orientar las acciones del Estado para una identificación y clasificación armonizada de los químicos peligrosos con miras a minimizar los riesgos a la salud y al ambiente. Hemos reforzado las políticas públicas de crecimiento verde y ecoeficiencia mediante la aprobación de la ley que regula la utilización del plástico de un solo uso y plásticos no reutilizables, tomando en cuenta su ciclo de vida, los actores y su cadena de valor, a efectos de reducir el impacto adverso del plástico de un solo uso y de la basura plástica marina, pluvial y lacustre. Hemos mejorado la calidad del aire en nuestras ciudades, promoviendo combustibles y vehículos más eficientes y limpios, apostando por impulsar la movilidad eléctrica y trabajando de manera coordinada por una industria de menores emisiones y más ecoeficientes, como una estrategia en la lucha contra los efectos adversos del cambio climático, la mejora de la calidad del aire y de la salud de las personas. A iniciativa de Argentina, Chile, Costa Rica y Perú, se adoptará por primera vez en esta Asamblea una resolución sobre movilidad sostenible. El Perú promueve el diálogo con el sector privado mediante la realización de procesos participativos para la elaboración de políticas ambientales, así como campañas de información para la ciudadanía en general, a través de programas educativos y de sensibilización para la generación de conciencia socioambiental. Finalmente, reiteramos la necesidad de contar con cooperación técnica y financiera internacional para fortalecer nuestra capacidad científica y tecnológica como un complemento indispensable de los esfuerzos nacionales. Bajo esta perspectiva, hacemos un llamado a la generación de alianzas estratégicas público-privadas y regionales, a la coordinación con todos los órganos del sistema de Naciones Unidas, incluyendo a la sociedad civil y al empresariado, bajo un esquema de desarrollo sostenible que genere oportunidades para las generaciones venideras. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The pleasure is now for me to invite His Excellency Mr. Simon Still, Minister of Environment and Energy of Grenada.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished delegates. I'm here as a representative of a small island developing state for whom this year's theme, Innovative Solutions for Environmental Challenges and Sustainable Consumption and Production, resonates greatly. On a daily basis, we face a myriad of environmental challenges in our quest to develop sustainably. Challenges ranging from unprecedented declines in our biodiversity, increasingly active hurricane seasons, and sargassum inundation to the scourge of plastics in our seas. We've responded to many of these as best we can by strengthening our policies and institutional structures, introducing new regulations such as the banning of styrofoam and a range of single-use plastics, and ecosystem-based adaptation efforts, to name but a few. However, in our view, these are just business-as-usual responses, which, while helpful, do not get to the core of the challenges that we face. We have to dig deeper and develop solutions that get to the heart of the matter. Solutions that do not just tinker with the symptoms, but also address the underlying causes of the challenges that we face. If we look at the question of the loss of global biodiversity, underlying this trend are the ravages brought on by climate change. So, as we reflect on developing innovative solutions, we have to look towards aligning the work that we are doing here with the work that we are doing in the climate change arena. These solutions can take a number of different forms, starting with the need for the rapid reduction in greenhouse gases in line with the Paris Agreement goal of 1.5 degrees C. With energy production and use being the single biggest contributor to global warming, addressing this problem at scale and with speed clearly gets to the heart of the matter. A rapid transition to renewable energy and energy efficiency solutions must be a priority. Grenada is currently developing a transformative project with UN Environment, the Caribbean Development Bank, and with the support of the Green Climate Fund to enable us to leapfrog to high efficiency LED lighting and energy efficiency cooling devices in a permanent and sustainable manner. An important step towards achieving our target of a 30% reduction in our greenhouse gas emissions by 2025. With transportation contributing approximately 1/4 of all energy-related emissions globally, accelerated action must be taken here too. The UN Environment's Global Electric Mobility Program seeks to do just that. And with the participation of small island developing states, although our contributions to greenhouse gas emissions are low compared to larger, more developed regions, we can be more fleet of foot than those larger nations in demonstrating from policy development through to implementation an ambitious transition and to become global exemplars as to how this challenge can be tackled in a very practical way. However, developing the innovative solutions without the means to adequately finance them would be an exercise in futility. Access to new and additional financing sensitive to our needs and capacities as small island developing states is therefore critical. So to end, we champion the call for a full and timely replenishment of the Green Climate Fund and the required support for other grant and
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite His Excellency Mr. Jose Fidel Santana Núñez, Vice Minister of Science, Technology and Environment of Cuba, to deliver his statement.
Muchas gracias. Ante todo, nuestra delegación también ofrece profundas condolencias a los familiares, colegas, instituciones y países de las víctimas del accidente aéreo de Ethiopian Airlines. Señor Presidente, distinguidos ministros, jefes de delegaciones y delegados, deseo agradecer en nombre de Cuba la hospitalidad del Gobierno de Kenia y los esfuerzos de la Presidencia de Estonia y de la Secretaría de PNUMA para el exitoso desarrollo de esta asamblea, a la que llegamos con enorme preocupación por el cambio climático, ya que los compromisos de mitigación existentes no permitirán mantener la temperatura por debajo de los 2 grados centígrados y sus impactos actuales y futuros son alarmantes. Para Cuba, los estudios científicos que realizamos evidencian serias afectaciones en los ecosistemas costeros, elevando el nivel medio del mar e inundaciones permanentes del territorio con desaparición futura de asentamientos humanos. Para contrarrestar esto, continuamos con la implementación desde 2017 de un plan de Estado para el enfrentamiento al cambio climático. Recientemente, la dirección del Gobierno aprobó la política para el perfeccionamiento del sistema ambiental a la que contribuirá a la solución de los principales problemas fortaleciendo la esfera legislativa, donde en primer lugar se está actualizando la ley sobre el medio ambiente para atemperarla a los desafíos actuales. Nuestro Plan Nacional de Desarrollo Económico y Social hasta el 2030 incluye un eje estratégico para la atención al medio ambiente y los recursos naturales, con metas, indicadores a alcanzar en armonía con los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible. Lo anterior no está exento de dificultades, de limitaciones financieras y tecnológicas, que en nuestro caso se agravan debido al injusto bloqueo económico, financiero y comercial impuesto por el gobierno de los Estados Unidos durante 60 años, siendo este el obstáculo fundamental para avanzar en la agilidad que se requiere. Distinguidos delegados, como se reconoce en el documento Plan de Ejecución hacia un planeta libre de contaminación, lograr avances en esto es responsabilidad de todos y hay que transformar el sistema y fortalecer capacidades en diferentes ámbitos, desde el conocimiento científico hasta el aseguramiento de la infraestructura necesaria, lo cual se traduce en el uso de las tecnologías. Hoy debatimos con gran preocupación sobre el elevado nivel de contaminación existente en nuestros mares y océanos, del peligro que representan los plásticos de un solo uso y microplásticos, de la insostenibilidad de los patrones de producción y consumo que conducen a una mayor contaminación y degradación de los recursos naturales. Sin embargo, los países en desarrollo requieren de un apoyo real con medios de implementación, en particular acceso a la tecnología y más financiamiento, pues nuestros compromisos medioambientales podrán cumplirse junto a otros retos económicos y sociales en la medida que se reciban estos financiamientos y se acceda a estas tecnologías. Innovemos también a nivel multilateral para lograr crear un fondo tecnológico que sea para financiar la transferencia de tecnología limpia. Detengamos las presiones por imponer iniciativas e intereses que responden a políticas nacionales como las economías de colores y formas. Reiteramos que la inclusión o no de estos nuevos conceptos depende de la estrategia de desarrollo de cada país. Se requiere aumentar notablemente la cantidad de fondos en momentos que se crecen los gastos militares de defensa en un sinnúmero de países donantes. Señor presidente, reiteramos nuestra voluntad de continuar trabajando hacia el logro de las metas de desarrollo sostenible, para lo cual el PNUMA debe continuar siendo un socio clave. En este marco, también nos solidarizamos con el gobierno del presidente constitucional de Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moro, que enfrenta medidas unilaterales con impacto en la soberanía y en la estabilidad económica del país y constituye un obstáculo para el desarrollo sostenible de ese pueblo. Termino con un fragmento del discurso del líder histórico de la Revolución Cubana, Fidel Castro Ruz, en la Conferencia de Naciones Unidas sobre Medio Ambiente y Desarrollo en el 12 de junio del 92, y cito: si se quiere salvar a la humanidad de esta autodestrucción, hay que distribuir mejor la riqueza y las tecnologías disponibles en el planeta. Menos lujo y menos despilfarro en unos pocos países para que haya...
Thank you, Your Excellency. May I now invite Her Excellency Ms. Bernadette Maria Jagger, Deputy Minister of Environment and Tourism of Namibia, to deliver a statement.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. President, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from my country, Minister of Environment and Tourism, Mr. Pohamba Shifeta. May I take this opportunity to express our deepest and sincere heartfelt condolences to the families and nations that recently lost their loved ones on an Ethiopian airline. Our thoughts and prayers as Namibians are with you. The theme of this assembly, Your Excellencies, come at a time the world needs innovative solutions to address the many environmental challenges and find sustainable ways to produce resources the world needs to meet its current demands. Meeting the world's current demands should not be at the expense of future generations. Therefore, putting an end to the current production and consumption patterns that are increasingly contributing to biodiversity loss, land and ecosystem degradation, pollution, soil erosion, and exacerbating change in climate and increasing poverty is of paramount importance. Namibia has taken a firm approach towards protecting and managing the natural resource base for economic and social development. One key example is the community-based natural resource management initiatives that are purposefully designed to ensure communities derive increased benefits in an equitable manner by gaining control over and sustainably managing natural resources in target areas. It is our belief that creating incentives for conservation and sustainable use of biological resources will contribute towards maintaining healthy and productive ecosystems while improving quality of life for many rural Namibians through sustainable natural resource management. Namibia is willing to share amazing traditional knowledge and diversity of resources that our communities possess for an equitable share of benefits from their utilization. Mr. President, in recent years, Namibia was not spared from the increasing volumes of waste across the country and the declining state of cleanliness of many of our towns and rural areas. The improper management of our waste is a risk to our animals, our marine life, to our landscapes, and to our human health. As a country, we are taking giant steps towards the minimization of use of plastics, including total ban in key strategic areas for tourism and recreation, and are considering imposing levies to industries and use of pollutants. We have created an enabling environment and policy for technology transfer and use in an effort to encourage transformation of discoveries into practical and economical relevant applications and products. I would like to express Namibia's willingness to develop technologies in partnership, in collaboration with like-minded partner countries and industries. At this juncture, Mr. President, I would like to urge countries with advanced technologies to share these with mostly developing countries that are home to the world's most biodiversity in an effort to save the world's biodiversity and boost their economies. In conclusion, Mr. President, I kindly but urgently call on able developed countries to extend technical and financial capacities and support to developing countries and countries in transition through technology and skills transfer and sharing in developing together innovative solutions to the challenges environment is facing. Lastly, thanks to the Republic of Kenya for hosting us in the
Thank you, Excellency. I have the pleasure now to invite Mr. Wilfred Derry, Head of Delegation of Monaco, to deliver a statement.
Monsieur le Président de l'Assemblée des Nations Unies pour l'Environnement, Madame la Directrice adjointe de l'ONU Environnement, Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs d'État, de gouvernements et ministres, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, avant toute chose, je souhaiterais, au nom du gouvernement de Son Altesse Sérénissime le Prince Albert II de Monaco, adresser mes chaleureuses félicitations à Madame Inger Andersen et l'assurer du plein soutien de la Principauté de Monaco aux travaux de l'ONU Environnement. Monsieur le Président, les défis environnementaux auxquels l'humanité est confrontée sont nombreux et tendent malheureusement à s'accentuer. Les différents rapports présentés à cette Assemblée dressent un tableau inquiétant de l'état de l'environnement mondial qui ne cesse de se dégrader. Le changement climatique, véritable multiplicateur de menaces, constitue l'un des plus grands fléaux auxquels la planète ait jamais été confrontée. Le thème de notre Assemblée, privilégiant des solutions innovantes en faveur de modes de consommation durables, constitue sans nul doute une importante contribution pour lutter contre ces menaces. Il est urgent que les gouvernements et l'ensemble des parties prenantes prennent des mesures concrètes de grande ampleur pour tenir les objectifs collectifs d'atténuation. Dans cette perspective, la Principauté prend ses responsabilités à l'échelle nationale avec notamment son plan énergie-climat destiné à lutter contre le changement climatique et à adapter son territoire à ces changements dans une logique de développement durable. À l'international également, Monaco a, au cours des dernières années, renforcé conséquemment son soutien au Fonds vert pour le climat. Monsieur le Président, répondre aux défis environnementaux exige de nos sociétés un véritable changement de comportements individuels et collectifs. En principauté, l'innovation inspire l'action environnementale. C'est tout d'abord le soutien à l'innovation technologique avec une politique engagée en faveur de la mobilité électrique. Aujourd'hui, 5% des véhicules immatriculés à Monaco sont des véhicules électriques ou hybrides. Mais l'innovation est également recherchée dans la manière dont nous associons les parties prenantes autour d'un projet de société plus durable et résilient. Ainsi, le pacte national pour la transition énergétique, lancé en janvier 2018, est en ce sens un levier de mobilisation permettant à tous de contribuer à la réalisation des engagements ambitieux pris par la Principauté pour un développement bas carbone. Le gouvernement princier investit également dans la sensibilisation et l'éducation environnementale des jeunes, du grand public et du secteur privé. La réduction des déchets plastiques est un enjeu majeur pour la diminution des émissions de gaz à effet de serre et la Principauté se veut un État actif dans ce domaine. Dans l'esprit des objectifs de développement durable, Monaco considère ses efforts comme un investissement pour l'avenir et ne doute pas des effets positifs à court terme comme à long terme de ces mesures sur la santé humaine. À cet égard, nous saluons la tenue de la première conférence mondiale sur la pollution de l'air et la santé organisée par l'OMS en octobre dernier. Le gouvernement monégasque soutient depuis des années l'OMS et s'est récemment engagé aux côtés de la Climate and Clean Air Coalition hébergée par l'ONU Environnement. Dans la lignée de l'engagement du souverain en faveur de la préservation des océans, la lutte contre la pollution marine figure au rang des priorités pour la principauté et c'est pourquoi Monaco apporte également son soutien aux activités de l'ONU Environnement dans la matière. Préserver les océans, c'est aussi assurer la survie de l'un des écosystèmes phares qu'ils abritent, les récifs coralliens. En tant que coprésident de l'initiative internationale pour les récifs coralliens, Monaco s'engage fermement pour leur conservation et leur gestion durable. C'est le sens de la résolution que nous avons proposée avec l'Indonésie et à laquelle d'autres pays se sont ralliés. Je les en remercie. En conclusion, je souhaiterais rappeler l'attachement de mon pays à la recherche et aux données scientifiques, pivot de nos décisions politiques, permettant le développement de solutions innovantes en la faveur de modes de consommation durables. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Excellency. It's my pleasure now to invite His Excellency Ambassador Mr. Hatem Landulsi, Head of Delegation of Tunisia, to deliver a statement.
Thank you. السيد الرئيس، السيدات والسادة الوزراء ورؤساء وأعضاء الوفود المشاركة وممثلي المنظمات الدولية. في البداية أتوجه إلى حكومات وعائلات ضحايا حادث سقوط الطائرة الإثيوبية بأحر عبارات التعازي وأصدق مشاعر التعاطف والمساواة. وأتمنى إلى زميلتنا سفيرة زامبيا بنيروبي الشفاء العاجل والعودة قريبا إلى سالف نشاطها. كما أتوجه بتحية خالصة إلى جمهورية كينيا على كرم الضيافة وحسن الاستقبال. وأتوجه بجزيل الشكر إلى برنامج الأمم المتحدة. إن سكان العالم يستهلكون تقريبا ضعف ما ينتجه كوكب الأرض من موارد، وإذا وصلنا في اتباع نفس المنوال الإنتاج والاستهلاك سنحتاج مع أفق 2050 إلى ما تنتجه 3 أضعاف الكرة الأرضية، بالإضافة إلى التأثيرات الناتجة عن التغيرات المناخية وخاصة منها الظواهر المناخية القصوى على غرار تواتر مواسم الفيضانات والجفاف وارتفاع مستوى البحر في عديد المناطق والجزر، علاوة على تنوع أشكال التلوث الذي يمس الهواء والماء والتربة نتيجة تنامي نظم الاستهلاك والإنتاج غير المستدامة التي لا تراعي حق الأجيال القادمة في بيئة سليمة وتنمية مستدامة، وهو ما يتطلب منا جميعا بذل مزيد من المجهودات وتعزيز التعاون بيننا لتكريس مقومات التنمية المستدامة في جميع القطاعات والمجالات. وفي هذا الإطار فإن تونس تجدد انخراطها المطلق في المجهودات الدولية المبذولة على المستوى العالمي للمساهمة في حماية كوكب الأرض من التلوث ومجابهة التغيرات المناخية والمحافظة على المنظومات الإيكولوجية والموارد الطبيعية وتطوير نظم الاستهلاك والإنتاج المستدامة. حضرات السيدات والسادة، لقد جعلت بلادنا من العناية بالبيئة أولوية وطنية، حيث كرس دستور الجمهورية الثانية الحق في بيئة سليمة ومتوازنة، وهو ما يتماشى مع سياساتها البيئية باعتبار إمضاء تونس على جل الاتفاقيات ذات العلاقة بحماية البيئة. ولقد كثفت جهود الدولة التونسية من أجل دمج الجانب البيئي في جل الأنشطة والميادين التنموية ذات الأولوية للمرحلة القادمة لتجسيم منهجية التنمية المستدامة وتكريس البعد الوقائي في سياساتنا البيئية من خلال تنفيذ المخططات التنموية الخماسية ووضع المخططات والاستراتيجيات الوطنية ذات العلاقة حيز التنفيذ. لقد شرعت تونس في تنفيذ عديد من الأنشطة كخطوة أولى على درب تطوير نظم الإنتاج والاستهلاك نحو الاستدامة، حيث يتم حاليا باعتماد مقاربة تشاركية مع العمل على تحيين المخطط الوطني للشراءات العمومية المستدامة وإعداد قانون منظم للشراءات العمومية المستدامة، كما تم الانطلاق في إعداد دراسة استراتيجية تهتم بواقع المدن التونسية وتحديد مؤشرات ومعايير اختيار المدينة المستدامة، قصد اقتراح كراس شروط نموذجي خاصة بتنظيم وتهيئة المدن بحسب مقتضيات الاستدامة. حضرات السيدات والسادة، لقد ارتكز العمل في مجال البيئة والتنمية المستدامة على تدعيم وتطوير النصوص القانونية والمواصفات مع تشجيع المبادرات النموذجية، وفي هذا السياق ساهمت بلادنا في تكريس استراتيجية عملية تهدف إلى التحول التدريجي نحو أنماط استهلاك وإنتاج مستدامة من خلال عدد من المشاريع النموذجية، حيث تم الشروع على سبيل الذكر وليس الحصر الشروع في تنفيذ برنامج للتخلص التدريجي من الأكياس البلاستيكية، ويتم في هذا المجال الإعداد لاصدار أمر حكومي لمنع استعمال وإنتاج الأكياس البلاستيكية ذات الاستخدام الواحد ووضع برنامج لمساندة المنتجين لهذا الصنف. كما يتم العمل على التوجه نحو الاقتصاد الأخضر وتحديد نمو ذو انبعاثات منخفضة من الغازات الدفيئة. إن التعاون الدولي والإقليمي من شأنه أن يلعب دورا هاما في تعزيز تحول اقتصاديات بلدان العالم نحو أنماط استهلاك وإنتاج مستدامين للتوجه نحو الاقتصاد الأخضر، وهو ما يستدعي تدعيم التعاون شمال جنوب وجنوب جنوب من خلال تطوير التكنولوجيا والحلول البيئية المبتكرة ونشرها وتعميمها ونقلها وفق شروط متفق عليها.
Thank you, Excellency. Unfortunately, your time allocated by the Assembly has expired. Kindly send your statement to the Secretariat for uploading to the website. I would now like to invite Mrs. Aisha Al-Abduli, Head of Delegation of the United Arab Emirates, to deliver a statement.
أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، السيدات والسادة، يسرني في البداية أن أنقل لكم تحيات دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة وتقديرها العميق للجهود المتواصلة التي تبذلها جمعية الأمم المتحدة للبيئة، وتعازيها الحارة للأخوة المفقودين وعوائلهم في الحادثة المأساوية الأخيرة. سيدي الرئيس، تواصلت الجهود الدولية المبذولة لمعالجة المشكلات البيئية، غير أن تأثيراتها ظلت محدودة نتيجة تزايد الضغوط والتحديات واعتماد العديد من الدول في معالجتها على الحلول التقليدية التي لم تعد وحدها كافية لمواكبة التغير السريع في المشهد البيئي العالمي. وقد بدأ اعتمادنا في دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة على الحلول المبتكرة في المجال البيئي في وقت مبكر، واستمر نطاقه في الاتساع نتيجة السياسة التي انتهجتها قيادتنا الرشيدة في تهيئة البيئة المناسبة لحضانة الابتكار وتحويله من ميزة نسبية إلى قيمة مؤسسية أساسية. وأشير هنا على سبيل المثال إلى جهودنا لإنشاء وتطوير اقتصاد دائري، ومنها مشاريع تحويل النفايات البلدية الصلبة إلى طاقة كهربائية وإلى مصادر وقود بديلة في صناعة الإسمنت. ونشير أيضاً إلى استعدادنا لإطلاق أول قمر اصطناعي نانومتري في المنطقة بنهاية العام الجاري لرصد وتحليل البيانات البيئية وتوظيفها في إيجاد حلول مستدامة لتحديات المناخ والبيئة، وإلى الدراسة البحثية التي نجريها باستخدام تقنيات الاستشعار عن بعد والمسح الجوي للطائرات دون طيار لتحديد آفاق النمو المحتملة للقطاع الزراعي والتأثيرات المتبادلة بينه وبين المناخ، لنكون بذلك الدولة الأولى في العالم التي تستخدم هذه التقنية. أما في مجال التنوع البيولوجي فقد قمنا بتوظيف أفضل الممارسات العلمية وأحدث الوسائل التقنية في إنجاز المشروع الوطني للقائمة الحمراء ومشروع خارطة الإمارات الذكية التي تضمنت جميعها بناء بوابات رقمية وقواعد بيانات تلقائية التحديث وخرائط تفاعلية. السادة الكرام، مثلما تحظى أنماط الاستهلاك والإنتاج المستدامة بأهمية خاصة في هذه الدورة، فهي كذلك تحظى باهتمام بالغ في دولة الإمارات، فكانت محوراً لاحتفالاتنا بيوم البيئة الوطني في دورة استغرقت 3 سنوات اختتمناها في شهر فبراير الماضي، وتوجناها باعتماد الإطار التنظيمي الوطني للخطة الوطنية للإنتاج والاستهلاك المستدام والاستراتيجية الوطنية للإدارة المتكاملة للمواد الكيميائية وإصدار قانون الإدارة المتكاملة للنفايات. السادة الكرام، من الواضح أن نجاحنا في التصدي للتحديات البيئية المتزايدة مرهون بمدى قدرتنا على استثمار العلوم والتقنيات والحلول المبتكرة وتطبيقها على نطاق عالمي واسع، بيد أن الفجوة بين دول العالم لا زالت واسعة، خاصة في مجالات التمويل ونقل التكنولوجيا وبناء القدرات. ولذلك فإن بلادي تجدد الدعوة إلى أهمية مواصلة العمل تحت مظلة جمعية الأمم المتحدة للبيئة لتحقيق المزيد من التعاون والشراكة بين دول العالم لجسر هذه الفجوة وتحقيق بلوغ المستقبل الذي نصبو إليه. وأود في الختام أن أغتنم فرصة تواجدي بينكم اليوم لدعوتكم للمشاركة في الاجتماع التحضيري لقمة الأمم المتحدة للمناخ الذي تستضيفه بلادي في العاصمة أبو ظبي يومي 30 يونيو والأول من يوليو لعام 2019. شكرا لكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you, Mrs. Aisha. It's now my pleasure to invite His Excellency Mr. Duke Lefoko, Head of Delegation of Botswana, to deliver your statement.
Thank you, Excellency, Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the President of the Republic of Botswana, His Excellency Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, the people of the Republic of Botswana, we join the world in expressing our heartfelt and sincere condolences to the families, colleagues, and citizens all over the world who lost their loved ones in the tragic Ethiopian airline crash that took many lives over the past weekend. We take this opportunity to wish the souls of the departed eternal peace. Mr. President, Botswana welcomes the theme of this assembly being innovative solutions to environmental challenges and sustainable production and consumption. The theme is a clear testament that the world recognizes that environmental challenges continue to weigh heavily on our economies and people, and as such warrant innovative solutions that are sustainable, effective, and affordable to all. Further, we acknowledge the pivotal role of the environment in the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, and that it can provide innovative solutions aiming to accelerate socio-economic transformation, as well as tackling the leading challenges such as poverty, food insecurity, unemployment, and others. The aspect of providing innovative solutions to environmental challenges is a key component of Botswana's development agenda. Botswana continues to invest in the area of generating innovative solutions to the ever-increasing environmental challenges. We have established the Botswana Innovation Hub, the Botswana Institute of Technology, Research and Innovation. These are some of the institutions which assist with providing practical and effective and affordable innovative solutions to environmental problems and other development challenges. In this regard, we believe that this Assembly's declaration will spur all into action-oriented innovative solutions which are focused on delivering the world from the complex environmental challenges that we face today. Mr. President, the world today poses tricky and complex questions which require concerted efforts in business and usual practices. We are faced with climate change, land use conflicts, alien invasive species, desertification, land degradation, illegal wildlife trade, poaching, extinction of species, waste management, and prolonged droughts. For us to effectively address these issues, we believe that there is need for effective planning, environment-sound policies, strong regulatory institutions, and private sector involvement. We need to enhance scientific knowledge and research, capacity building, mobilization of financial resources, as well as provision of technical and technological support. These challenges need all of us to pull together for a common goal, a better world for us and future generations. Mr. President, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duke Lefoko. I now invite Mr. Rahul Chabra, Head of Delegation of India, to deliver his statement.
Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, we stand with colleagues of the world community in expressing our condolences and thoughts for those who have lost their lives in the very tragic accident before the start of this meeting. The Indian team also lost a very dynamic colleague, Ms. Shikha Garg, who was intimately involved in the preparations of UNIA 4. For any country, sustainable development is not a destination, but a dynamic process of adaptation, learning, and action with greater synergies between the economy, society, and the natural environment. Progress has been made in this direction in India and also globally. but we need to fast-pace the response to be commensurate with challenges at hand. Friends, studies have shown that efficient resource management and sustainable patterns of consumption and production could be game changers for any economy. India is blessed with traditional sustainable practices, which are now coming as a great boon to us. What is now being promoted as in circular, green, and low-carbon economy have been routine practices in India. We have to further advance these practices in the new areas of consumption and production. We resolve to continue our commitments of UNIA 3 and the World Environment Day 2018 towards beating plastic pollution. India launched a host of pan-India activities, including mass public participation and awareness programs. Our Prime Minister has given a call for eliminating single-use plastic by 2022 in the country, a very ambitious target for a country of India's size, but reflective of the commitment of our government. Resource efficiency, secondary resource management, and green economy are priorities of Government of India. We have recently worked on material flow studies and resource efficiency strategies in 4 key sectors: mobility, construction, photovoltaic cells, including extended producer responsibility for e-waste and plastic waste. India is the first country to set up an Indian resource panel on the lines of the International Resource Panel. A national policy statement on material recycling, resource recovery, and waste reduction is also in the offing. It is important to highlight here that the path for ensuring environmental protection while addressing pressing issues related to poverty, development, and unemployment is not very smooth, but the focus of the government has been steadfast. At the national level, India has come up with strong policy decisions on various environmental issues in the form of National Clean Air Program, India Cooling Action Plan, e-vehicle policy, National Action Plan on Climate Change, waste management rules, waste to energy, and extended producer responsibility for e-waste and plastic waste. India is moving towards sustainable consumption and production through policy interventions such as energy efficient star labeling and eco-labeling of product categories. These have been already led to a decrease of emission intensity of India's GDP by over 21% during 2005 to 2014. Innovation and collaboration is the key to success for impact on a global scale. Mission Innovation and International Solar Alliance launched in Paris 2015 are 2 important examples. I thank member states who participated in the deliberations on the 2 resolutions piloted by India and painstakingly worked to achieve consensus, phasing out of single-use plastics and sustainable nitrogen management. At the end, I reiterate, India on its part would continue to lead by example, never flinch on its part to live up to its environmental responsibilities. Thank you.
I thank Mr. Rahul Chabra for your statement. It's now my pleasure to invite Her Excellency Ms. Anida de Leon, Minister of Housing, Land Planning and Environment of Uruguay, and Her Excellency Ms. Isabella Lövin, Minister for Environment and Climate and Deputy Prime Minister of Sweden, to take the floor to deliver a joint statement for the High Ambition Alliance.
Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, pollution on this planet has never been worse. The impact on our people has never been deadlier. There's an urgent need to act and tackle the chemical risks on the health and on the environment. We now have a unique opportunity to work towards an ambitious framework on chemicals and waste planned for adoption in 2020. And we are under pressure. Today is already mid-March, and it's evident that we will not reach the SDG target for 2020 for the sound management of chemicals and waste. We are overwhelmed with facts on impacts on health and the environment that shows that the burden of disease from chemicals has been estimated at 1.6 million lives in 2016. This is not acceptable, and we need to step up efforts. This is why Uruguay and Sweden last year took the initiative of the High Ambition Coalition on Alliance on Chemicals and Waste. We're a group of ministers and senior representatives from governments, intergovernmental organizations, industry and civil society committed to work together.
We speak here today as co-chairs of the High High Ambition Alliance on Chemicals and Waste. The Alliance has met during UNEA. We feel confident that we together will realize our ambitions. For this, we need political commitment and ownership by the stakeholders. We have agreed to ensure a healthy life and a sustainable, safer planet for all. Raise awareness about the urgency to act on chemicals and waste, work for a strong enabling framework on the sound management of chemicals and waste beyond 2020 to be endorsed by high-level political bodies such as the UN General Assembly. The framework needs an inspirational vision and measurable goals. Independent input from science is necessary. We urge governments and stakeholders to join us in the High Ambition Alliance to strengthen the intentions by 2020 and thereafter. We need a framework that would lead to benefits for human health and the environment and a sustainable development for everyone, everywhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, for the joint statement. I now invite Her Excellency Ms. Marcia Banikat, Head of Delegation of the United States of America, to deliver a statement.
Good morning, Excellencies, Ministers, colleagues. I offer our most heartfelt condolences to all those who lost friends, colleagues, and loved ones in the Ethiopian Air Flight 302 crash on Sunday. The heart remembers what it has loved best. I am grateful to the delegations, the stakeholders, and UNEP staff, all of whom worked tirelessly to prepare for this assembly. I congratulate the incoming Executive Director, Inger Anderson, and heartily thank Acting Executive Director Joyce Msuya and Minister Sim Kistler for their commitment and steady hands to ensure the success of this important gathering. It is inspiring and appropriate that we gather as a group representing nearly every country on the planet, joined by industry, civil society, and academic partners. Solving the environmental challenges we face will require cooperation from every sector. How appropriate that the theme of this assembly features innovation. Innovative technology is fundamentally changing the way we live, work, and relate to one another. There is no historical precedent for the speed at which our lives are being transformed by technology, and it has the potential to transform environmental protection as well. But innovation isn't simply a function of new technology. Vision and creativity can inspire innovative solutions. The United States has a long history of innovative problem solving. For example, one U.S. company conducted a life cycle assessment of the energy needed to use its products and found washing machines using hot water with laundry detergents are energy guzzlers. Acting on this information, it developed cold water detergents and is at the forefront of efforts to encourage cold water laundering. Here in Kenya, the U.S. Forest Service works with partners in the Environment Ministry and elsewhere on the Kenya Water Tower Climate Change Resilience Program. This innovative program supports informed implementation of climate change adaptation and resilience by developing informed data and information. Among the concrete results is an ecosystem services valuation and climate change vulnerability assessment for each of the 3 priority water tower ecosystems. The search for new and smarter ways to support development is a key driver of innovation. Today, innovation can play a crucial role in decoupling development and environmental degradation. Innovation is also rooted in questioning the assumptions behind the way we do things. That is basic to the human spirit. Questioning the status quo is the first step to changing it. This assembly is an opportunity for us to ask those questions to solve some of the most complicated and crucial problems humans have ever confronted. How can we combat biodiversity loss while sustaining the livelihoods of those dependent on fishing and farming? How can we keep plastics out of our oceans? We have made great strides over the past 2 weeks. In particular, the U.S. welcomes this shared commitment to ensure our efforts to combat marine litter are underpinned by the best available science, and we believe all countries need to take action to manage plastics and other waste so that they do not pollute the ocean. We have been very pleased to see the G20 take on this issue, including the work of the Japanese presidency in 2019. The U.S.
Thank you, Ms. Benecat, for your statement. You may wish to send your statement to the Secretariat for uploading into the website. It's my pleasure now to invite Mr. Francis Maynard Malion, Head of Delegation of the Philippines, to deliver his statement.
His Excellency Hasri Hassan, Vice Chair of UNEA Bureau, Environment Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The Philippines welcomes this opportunity through the United Nations' highest environmental decision-making body to collectively explore and agree on innovative solutions to address environmental issues such as biodiversity loss, climate change, environmental degradation, pollution, alongside worsening poverty conditions and widening socio-economic divide. After decades of negotiations resulting in multilateral environmental agreements of every kind, we should have at least made a dent in the gargantuan task of cleaning up the environment, halting and reversing biodiversity loss, and drastically reducing our emissions. But are we succeeding? Now, more than ever, is the best time to seriously take stock of what we have accomplished thus far and build on these efforts to unequivocally, ambitiously, and innovatively move forward and not backwards, with concrete actions towards building sustainable and resilient societies. As one global community, mindful of varying capacities and resources and consistent with the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities, we need to strive for sustainable consumption and production patterns, using a complete full life cycle approach across our global economy with the people and planet at the forefront as spelled out in our SDGs. For our part, as a mega-diverse country, the Philippines is ready to do its share, even as on a per capita, our consumption rate is lower than the global average, as we seriously pursue the formulation and eventual implementation for sustainable consumption and production plan. This is also in line with our President's directive to make environmental protection and ensuring sustainable development for all a top priority of his administration. Leading this effort is our Department of Environment and Natural Resources, which has vowed to be more aggressive in enforcing environmental laws and regulations this year to sustain the momentum created by the 6-month rehabilitation of Boracay, the agency's centerpiece accomplishment in 2018, and Manila Bay this year. The Philippines also remains committed to its roadmap and action plans for biodiversity conservation, climate change mitigation and adaptation, food security, renewable and clean energy, and the attainment of the SDGs. Excellencies, we are running out of time. As we speak, the cause of our procrastination in addressing our abuses against our global commons and natural capital is already haunting us. Our unsustainable human consumption patterns must be curbed so we can still leave behind a world where future generations can still pursue their own sustainable development aspirations and not stolen from them. We hope that by UNEA 5 and beyond, we are already implementing actions in a consistent, fair, and equitable manner. Let us all work collectively for the future we want. To conclude, we commend the UNEA President and the Bureau for the outstanding preparations for this event, as well as the Government of Kenya for its hospitality. On behalf of the Filipino people, we thank you for this opportunity to speak, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Menab Melion, for the statement. I now invite His Excellency Mr. Malik Abin Aslam, Head of Delegation of Pakistan, to deliver a statement.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at the onset, I offer Pakistan's sincere condolences and deepest sympathies for the victims of the unfortunate air crash on 10th March. Pakistan shares in the tragic grief and huge loss. Mr. President, in line with the current UNEA focus, I want to assure you of Pakistan's fullest support in carrying forward the agenda for sustainable consumption and production consistent with the objectives of the SDGs. Our government's flagship initiative called Clean and Green Pakistan is a clear local manifestation of this global agenda. Focusing on the 5 pillars of plantation, management of solid waste, treatment of liquid waste, improving countrywide sanitation, and provision of clean drinking water, this national program sets an ambitious agenda for green growth. Excellencies, Pakistan is willing to think differently about the future, develop along a different pathway, and become an enabler of a new transition economy. Starting from the small province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, we embarked on a journey to plant 1 billion trees. Today, the Billion Tree Tsunami has become the first entity to meet its pledge under the Global Bond Challenge. It increased the forest cover of the province by 4%, created green jobs for the local community, and energized our youth to become custodians of a green future. This has now laid the foundations of the 10 billion tree tsunami, which is currently underway in Pakistan. This green political will is also manifesting itself in other areas, including our increasing mangrove cover, our focus on renewable energy, and also in the transport sector, where Pakistan has just finalized a zero-emission metro bus system for the city of Karachi. Another innovative initiative called Recharge Pakistan aims to turn the climate crisis into an opportunity by diverting floodwaters to restore wetland ecosystems as well as recharge our groundwater. Mr. President, while I can continue to elaborate upon the green political commitment of my country that is truly manifesting itself in Pakistan, I would be remiss if I don't highlight the unfortunate circumstances that engulfed Pakistan and our whole region very recently. On the 26th of February, a protected forest reserve and a globally significant carbon sink in Pakistan became the target of unprovoked aggression. A brazenly unlawful air incursion into our territory, while hastily fleeing back, dropped its entire payload onto a pristine reserve forest and an area protected for natural regeneration under the Billion Tree Tsunami. The area was duly registered under the Global Bond Challenge, so it was not just a local but a globally valued natural asset. This deplorable strike was clearly a strike against nature. It has been duly booked under the KP Provincial Forest Act, and an independent natural resource damage assessment has already been carried out. While we reserve the right for taking further action and for claiming compensation and retribution for this act, we are raising it at this forum to give a voice to the voiceless. The fallen trees of Masar Jabba Forest Reserve, which became the silent victims of the shameful attack on nature. We also want the world to know that Pakistan values its nature, and especially values its trees and forests, and has the will and capacity to defend every inch of its country. At the global level, there is an urgent need to strengthen international laws and commitments of the global community to take cognizance of such offenses against nature. In this regard, Pakistan welcomes the work done by ILC for defining the principles of environment in relation to armed conflicts, especially draft principles 9 and 13, which extend to protected areas such as the affected Masar Jabba Forest Reserve in Pakistan. We also intend to take it up at the UN 6th Committee to urgently and clearly define the term eco-terrorism, especially as it relates to incidents such as this strike against nature. Furthermore, any person authorizing such a strike is not a champion of the earth, but belongs to the Earth Hall of Shame.
Thank you, sir, for your statement. I now invite Ms. Susan Muhammad Al-Ajawi, Head of Delegation of Bahrain, to deliver a statement.
أصحاب السعادة والمعالي والسمو، السيدات والسادة الحضور، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسعدني ويشرفني أن أتحدث أمام جمعكم الكريم وأنقل لكم تحيات حكومة مملكة البحرين وتمنياتها لكم بالنجاح والتوفيق في تحقيق أهداف هذه الدورة الرابعة للجمعية العامة للبيئة. كما نتقدم أيضا بخالص العزاء والمواساة للحكومة الكينية ولدول وعائلات ضحايا الطائرة الأثيوبية المنكوبة. أصحاب السعادة، تعتبر مملكة البحرين من الدول الجزرية الصغيرة النامية، لكنها من الدول السباقة في حماية البيئة والمحافظة على مواردها الطبيعية على مستوى المنطقة، كما أنها كانت من أوائل الدول التي شاركت الأسرة الدولية جهودها لبناء مجتمعات أكثر استدامة وشمولية تتصدى لتحدياتنا البيئية. فمنذ بداية القرن ال21 وبتوجيهات من حكومتها أدرجت البحرين البعد البيئي في خططها التنموية ووضعت البرامج ونفذت المشاريع التي من شأنها معالجة التحديات البيئية. اتجهت حكومة مملكة البحرين في برامج عملها ومنذ اعتماد رؤية 2030 إلى إعطاء الأولوية لتنويع الاقتصاد وتحقيق الاستدامة البيئية في توجه شمولي، فعملت على تطوير استراتيجية شاملة تكفل استمرار تلبية الاحتياجات الغذائية للمملكة، ورفعت الدعم عن الخدمات لقطاعات تنموية مختلفة، ودعمت وحفزت السوق للاستفادة من التقنيات الموجهة لرفع كفاءة الإنشاد وترشيد الاستهلاك وتعزيز كفاءة استخدام الموارد، خاصة في قطاعي الماء والكهرباء. كما عملت على تنويع مصادر الطاقة، فاعتمدت أهدافا وطنية لبلوغ نسب محددة للطاقة المتجددة بحلول عام 2035، ناهيك عن أنها بدأت باستدراك أهمية الابتكار في تنمية قطاعات الأعمال في عصر يتميز بالتغير التكنولوجي السريع. يأتي شعار هذه الدورة حلول مبتكرة للتحديات البيئية ومن أجل الاستهلاك والاستنتاج المستدامين، متسقا مع الخطوات الجريئة التي اتخذتها الحكومة في اتجاه تحفيز السوق المحلية لخلق وتبني مشاريع تصب في تبني هذا الشعار وتوظيفه لزيادة وتيرة التنويع الاقتصادي. إذ تم الإعلان مؤخرا عن افتتاح المركز الإقليمي لشركة Amazon.com العالمية لمشروع منطقة بنية تحتية للشرق الأوسط ومقرها البحرين. كما تم الإعلان أيضا عن بدء تنفيذ مشروعات إنشاء حقل لتوليد الكهرباء بالطاقة الشمسية بقدرة إنتاجية تبلغ 100 ميجاوات بالشراكة مع القطاع الخاص. وهناك توجه واضح لتبني مفهوم الإدارة المستدامة للمخلفات، والذي من شأنه أن يحث على تسريع تبني مبدأ الإنتاج والاستهلاك المسؤول، أحد أهم أهداف التنمية المستدامة والرافد المساند لشعار هذه الدورة. ولغرض توفير بيئة محفزة على صعيد القطاع الحكومي، فقد أطلقت الحكومة في العام 2018 مسابقة الابتكار الحكومي فكرة، والتي هدفت إلى تشجيع طرح الأفكار الإبداعية من أجل تطوير الأداء بكافة مواقع العمل الحكومي لأجل تعزيز التنافسية وتحقيق الاستدامة. السادة والسيدات الحضور، نحن من هذا المنبر نؤكد على تضامننا معكم من أجل الحفاظ على البيئة وحمايتها، ونشدد على أهمية المسؤولية المشتركة والمتباينة إلى وصول أهدافنا المنشودة، ونتطلع معا إلى خروجنا بقرارات تصب في سياق تحقيق الشعار المرفوع. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you, Ms. Al-Ajawi, for your statement. I now invite His Excellency Mr. Roel Lapierre, Vice Minister for the Environment of the Netherlands, to deliver a statement.
Thank you very much, President, and I would say, Excellencies, dear colleagues, of course, I would like to start with thanking the government of Kenya for hosting this UNEA 4. Also, I would like to express my appreciation for the Secretariat in organizing and preparing the work for this UNEA. The new leadership team at UN Environment, we believe, has made a great and promising start. This UNEA addresses some of the most pressing issues the world is currently facing, from the changing climate to the acceleration of loss in biodiversity. The International Resources Panel, in its Global Resources Outlook 2019, has clearly shown us that the production and processing of primary resources are responsible for as much as 90% of biodiversity loss, as well as 50% of greenhouse gas emissions. Working towards sustainable consumption and production through a circular economy approach, therefore, makes perfectly sense. The Outlook also demonstrates that decoupling and transition towards circularity provides significantly higher economic growth while delivering on the many environmental challenges we have. The Netherlands is making its first strides in that transition towards a circular economy, both nationally as well as internationally, working with other governments like yourselves, NGOs, and the private sector. We need to rethink design and products and services. Our current smartphone, for an example, is not really a smartphone. It contains resources of which we do not know the origin, and therefore we cannot trace whether they are sourced sustainably. And its current design does also not allow for easy recovery. We want to work together with the ICT sector to help deliver a truly smarter and fairer phone. My second example is that of nature-based solutions. They allow for better flood protection, they allow for better water management, but nature-based solutions can also help when it comes to turning soil into what should be most important to farmers, namely a very fertile basis for production. The Netherlands has outlined a national strategy on circular agriculture, and we're happy to share experiences and our knowledge. We believe that we are at the forefront of this transition towards a circular economy, but no country can do this on its own. We need to work together, and working together within UN Environment can really help achieve the goals. Colleagues, the quality of life of future generations will depend on our efforts here and in our home countries. A transition towards a circular economy is not an option. We believe it is really a necessity. It's the only way forward, and to succeed, we will need to work together and take action today as well as tomorrow and the days after. The opportunities are there, the obligation is there, so let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I now invite Ms. Alison Chatras, Head of Delegation of Australia, to deliver a statement.
Your Excellency, President of the UN Environment Assembly, distinguished delegates, firstly, may I convey Australia's deepest sympathies to all impacted by the tragedy of last Sunday's flight ET302. Mr. President, we would like to thank you for your excellent leadership of UNEA 4. We welcome Ms. Inga Anderson to her new appointment as Executive Director of UNEP, and thank Ms. Joyce Msuya for her leadership of UNEP in this period of transition. Australia's Minister for the Environment, the Honourable Melissa Price, regrets she was unable to attend this assembly, but sends best wishes to delegates for a successful UNEA. We appreciate the energy and good faith with which delegations have approached UNEA 4. We also welcome UNEP's active engagement with the UN reform process. It is imperative we ensure the efficiency and effectiveness of UNEA and its subsidiary bodies as we work together to achieve the environmental dimensions of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. An inclusive approach to the 2030 Agenda is vital. We must ensure women, Indigenous communities and young people are active participants. Mr. President, the imperative to address issues stemming from our current patterns of consumption and production is clear. Tackling waste, improving resource efficiency, and encouraging sustainable consumption and production patterns are important issues in Australia. We have updated our national waste policy to include circular economy principles and provide a framework for collective action on waste management and recycling. We have set a target of 100% of Australian packaging being recyclable, compostable or reusable by 2025, and a commitment to national targets for recycled material in new packaging. Under our National Food Waste Strategy, we have committed to halve Australia's food waste by 2030. We fully recognise the devastating impact of marine debris on our oceans and wildlife. Australia is taking action on marine plastics domestically and through a number of international forums. We are pleased to see a new UNEA resolution to address marine litter and microplastics, which will help to harness and promote greater action and cooperation. Mr. President, We all have a role in fostering and promoting innovation to realise sustainable patterns of consumption and production. Governments, business and industry, international organisations, not-for-profit organisations and academia must all be part of the design and application of innovative technologies, practices and solutions. The Australian Government, for example, is working with the Australian Land Conservation Alliance to explore innovative financing models to support land conservation. Signalling Australia's move towards a co-designed approach, the government also recently released a Partnering for Sustainable Environment statement, which invites organisations to bring forward their partnering ideas. Mr. President, Australia welcomes the extensive consideration delegates have given to the suite of issues we have discussed over the past couple of weeks. And finally, thank you to the UNEP Secretariat and the Government of Kenya for excellent hosting arrangements for this Assembly. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank Ms. Aston Chatras for your statement. I now invite Madam Nosifo Nkaba, Head of Delegation of South Africa, to take the floor.
Mr. President of the United Nations Environment Assembly, Presiding Officer, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Acting Executive Director of UNEP, Deputy Executive Director of UNEP, and UNEP Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to address you on this important occasion, whereas the international community once again gathered to discuss critical issues defining the global environmental agenda. On behalf of the South African government and the people of the Republic, allow me to join in expressing our condolences on the tragic loss of life experienced as a result of the air disaster. Our thoughts and prayers are with all those families during this difficult time. I wish to express words of appreciation to Ms. Joyce Msuya, who with great integrity and professionalism is holding fort as the Acting Executive Director of UNEP. Let me also congratulate Ms. Inger Anderson as the Executive Director Designate for UNEP. My delegation appreciates the warm hospitality accorded to us by the government and the people of Kenya. South Africa would like to align itself with the statement delivered on behalf of the African Group. For South Africa, sustainable development is a national priority, and it is fully integrated in our National Development Plan, which seeks to address triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. We therefore use the National Development Plan to advance our sustainable development path, both to ensure that we do not cause ecological scarcities for future generations. The UNEA theme, Innovative Solutions for Environmental Challenges and Sustainable Consumption and Production, is both important and timely. It is believed by South Africa and the African region as a whole that innovative solutions are overarching, cross-cutting, and present a unique opportunity to solve various environmental challenges, in particular to enhance our climate change response and tracking air emissions, responsible chemicals and waste management. Innovative approaches are required in Africa in order to enable smart solutions, particularly in the area of food production methods, and also if we are approaching or enabling deployment of innovative solutions in Africa or within the continent, we are likely to deal with our challenges of food production and job opportunities alike. It is an important element embedded in the indigenous knowledge applications as a cornerstone and an integral part for addressing environmental challenges. The South African government believes in creating heightened awareness to enable sustainable consumption and production by at least highlighting the importance of information for consumers in order for them to make informed choices when choosing materials and products.
Thank you, Madam Kaba, for your statement. It's my pleasure now to invite Mr. Salah Francis Al-Hamdi, Head of Delegation of Algeria, to deliver your statement.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. السيد الرئيس، السيدة المديرة التنفيذية بالنيابة لبرنامج الأمم المتحدة للبيئة، أصحاب السعادة، سيداتي سادتي. في البداية اسمحوا لي أن أتقدم باسم الحكومة الجزائرية وباسمي الخاص بتعازينا الخالصة على المصاب الجلل جراء تحطم الطائرة الإثيوبية يوم 10 مارس الأخير. كما أنتهز هذه الفرصة لأهني السيدة إنجر أندرسون على تعيينها على رأس برنامج الأمم المتحدة من أجل البيئة، وأشكر الأمانة على التنظيم الجيد لهذه الدورة التي جاءت تحت شعار حلول مبتكرة لتحديات البيئة والاستهلاك والإنتاج المستدامين. تكمن أهمية هذا الموضوع من جهة في إبراز الارتباط بين الاستهلاك والبيئة، وبالتالي تسليط الضوء على جانب مهم من السياسات التي تعمل على تحقيق التنمية المستدامة، ومنها شد الارتباط بينها وبين السياسات التي تركز على جانب الإنتاج المستدام، ومن جهة أخرى ترقية وتشجيع الأنهاج المبتكرة لإنجاز خطط التنمية الشاملة وحفظ التكاليف الاقتصادية والبيئية والاجتماعية مستقبلا، وتوطيد القدرة التنافسية الاقتصادية وخفض حدة الفقر. سيدي الرئيس، الجزائر اليوم لا تريد لنفسها العيش في معزل عن الديناميكية العالمية، حيث أصبح الإنتاج والاستهلاك المستدامان ضمن اهتمامات الاستراتيجية الوطنية للبيئة. في هذا الصدد صدقت الحكومة الجزائرية على المخطط الوطني الخاص بأنماط الاستهلاك والإنتاج المستدامان. يسعى هذا المخطط إلى تشجيع المبادرات المواطنية والمؤسساتية والمقاولاتية من أجل النهج بها نحو مسار منسجم ومكمل للسياسات العامة ولسياسات القطاعات الوزارية. ويرافق هذا المخطط بوابة إلكترونية في مجال السلوكيات والإنتاج المستدامين، ومنشورات تحسيسية وتربوية وتعليمية الهادفة إلى تغيير السلوكات والذهنيات في صالح حماية البيئة. سيدي الرئيس، دائما في نفس المنوال ستنعقد بعد أيام قليلة الجلسات الوطنية الأولى للاقتصاد التدوري، والتي تأتي بعد 3 لقاءات جهوية من أجل بعث وتفعيل الإنتاج المستدام الأكثر نقاء، الاستهلاك المستدام، رسكلة وتثمين النفايات وتحويلها إلى مواد أولية جديدة. سيدي الرئيس، الجزائر تؤكد على ضرورة توحيد جهودها والعمل التعاوني لتهيئة إطار تكمين تشجيع الأحد بالتكنولوجيا السليمة بيئية والبحث والابتكار لدعم الاقتصاد الأخضر في سياق التنمية المستدامة والقضاء على الفقر وتعزيز الحوكمة العالمية بشأن النفايات البلاستيكية البحرية والميكروبلاستيكية. لا يمكن تجسيد أجندة التنمية الجديدة ومن ضمنها الاستهلاك والإنتاج المستدامين اللذان يشكلان إطار ومدخلا لمواجهة المخاوف الملحة، خصوصا أن المتعلقة بالفقر والعدالة وحوز اقتصادي تشجع على التحول إلى أنماط استهلاك وإنتاج أكثر استدامة وإصلاح النظم المالية والضريبية لتحقيق هذا الهدف وترك أرضا أفضل للأجيال القادمة. شكرا سيدي على الرئيس على الإخصاء والاستماع. شكرا.
Thank you, Mr. Al-Hamdi, for your statement. It's my pleasure now to invite His Excellency Mr. Socha Jono Sastro Mihajo, Head of Delegation of Indonesia. You have the floor, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, distinguished participants, friends, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the government of Indonesia, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the government and people of Kenya for hosting this important event, and to UNEP Secretariat for the excellent organization of UNEA 4. I would also like to express our deep sympathy and condolences for the loss of lives caused by the incident of Ethiopian Airlines. Our hearts and prayers go to the bereaved families who lost their loved ones. Mr. President, the world is now entering a critical juncture of global environmental challenges. The pressure of world population growth and the advancement of development have significantly affected the environment and our natural resources. Indonesia is cautiously advancing our development while addressing environmental challenges. For that, UNEA 4 should send a strong message to the world in view of these complex challenges. The theme of innovative solution for environmental challenges and sustainable consumption and productions comes at a timely manner, and we must maintain the momentum to immediately work together. Indonesia proposes 5 draft resolutions to be adopted by UNEA 4. The support of many member states for the success of these 5 resolutions is instrumental and highly appreciated. As reflected in the Rio Declaration, the prerequisite for the implementation of sustainable development is to change unsustainable patterns of production and consumption. We need to advance and accelerate the paradigm shifts in the whole society through concerted efforts by all stakeholders and under the leadership of governments. Our proposed draft resolution on SCP highlights the principles and instruments for strengthening collaboration of all stakeholders to ensure the implementation of SCP, among others, by establishing a national SCP resource pool. Mr. President, located on the Ring of Fires, Indonesia is prone to natural disasters. They give us an expensive lesson on the important role of our valuable ecosystems. Intensive studies and discussion have been conducted, and we cannot say more on the importance and critical function of the mangroves. Yet, mangroves are continuously suffering degradation in many parts of the world. Through the resolution on mangrove and coral reefs, we are moved to summon the world to be aware of these grave situations and consequences, and we are urged to protect and conserve our ecosystem. Indonesia is therefore considering the establishment of the first World Mangrove Center. The President of Indonesia has declared ourselves as the World Maritime Fulcrum. Taking into consideration that most of the marine litter is land-based, Indonesia has issued a presidential decree which minimizes solid waste by 30% and reduces marine plastic waste by 70% by 2025. Indonesia emphasizes the need to reduce wastewater, nutrient pollution, marine litter, and microplastics, as reflected in our proposed resolutions. And Indonesia has established the Regional Capacity Center for Clean Seas in Bali. We are inviting member states and other stakeholders to collaborate with the center and to extend their support for technical cooperation, resource person, technology transfer, capacity building, and exchange of best practices. Mr. President, Indonesia calls all member states for more concrete actions and cooperation to protect and conserve coral reefs, including live reef food fish trade, for the welfare of the present and future generation. We, together with other member states, are proposing the new resolution, which emphasizes on streamlining policies on coral reefs and participation to produce the global report on the status of coral reefs by 2020. Indonesia recognizes the important role of peatlands in addressing environmental concerns, in protecting the biodiversity, and in contributing to the social and economic welfare of local communities. In order to show our commitment, Indonesia
Thank you, Excellency. Unfortunately, your time allocated by the Assembly has expired. Kindly send your statement to the Secretariat for uploading to the website. I would like now to invite Mr. Marco Monsignor Ganci, Head of Delegation of the Holy See, to take the floor.
Mr. President, the delegation of the Holy See wishes to offer heartfelt condolence to the families and to dear ones of the victims of the plane crash. Pope Francis invokes the divine blessing of consolation and strength upon all who mourn their loss. Mr. President, the delegation of the Holy See wishes also to congratulate you and your staff for the dedicated efforts in this assembly, and it would like to assure its support to the work of the Bureau in guiding the UNEA. The current state of death, our common home, as Pope Francis reminds us in his landmark encyclical letter Laudato Si, is certainly a source of grave concern, one of the greatest threats that humanity is facing today, indeed an urgent challenge. The Holy Father states that we need only take a frank look at the facts to see that our common home is falling into serious disrepair. During the last several decades, the Holy See has been sounding the alarm for the dire states of our common home and raising a clarion call for concrete and concerted action. There remains the relevant question that we need to ask ourselves. What kind of world do we want to leave to those who come after us, to children who are now growing up? In this regard, the delegation of the Holy See would like to offer two remarks. First of all, today we need to take a critical look at our production and consumption patterns. On the occasion of World Food Day 2017, Pope Francis emphasized, we must therefore strive to achieve a pragmatic and practical consensus if we wish to prevent the devastating effects that will continue to rain down on the poorest and the most defenseless people. It is our duty to call for a change in lifestyles, in the use of resources, in production criteria, and even in consumption. Today we stand in need of circular economy, capable of preserving a resource for present and future generation, while limiting as much as possible the use of non-renewable resources, moderating their consumption, maximizing their efficient use, reusing and recycling them. Secondly, as Pope Francis reminds us, we need to act in partnership and cooperation so as to begin a new dialogue about how we are shaping the future of our planet. We need a conversation which includes everyone, since the environmental challenge we are undergoing and its human roots concern and affect us all. We require a new and universal solidarity. Moments of crisis can truly be opportunities for humanity to come together and respond with creativity and determination to the challenges that we face. Creativity and innovation are indeed renewable resources that God has placed in our hands. Mr. President, the Holy See wishes to assure the international community that it will continue to facilitate fostering partnership among all governments, stakeholders, public and private sectors, and all citizens to make measurable commitments to our innovative solution for the challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Marco Monsignor Ganci, for your statement. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we will now hear statements from intergovernmental organizations. First, I would like to invite Ms. Marcela Main-Sancha, representing the United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change, to deliver a statement.
Good afternoon. Before I begin, on behalf of all employees of the UNFCCC Secretariat, I would like to express our sympathy and condolences to those family members affected by these week's tragic events. Honorable ministers, fellow colleagues, UN climate change is pleased to participate in this assembly and to continue its strong relationship with UNEP. You are more than just valuable partners. The work of our organizations is intrinsically linked. We recognize UNEP for its leadership as well as its important contributions to COP negotiations. UNEP produced the first emissions gap report in 2010. It has become a key input to the COP. This assembly's outcomes are also key. They not only help set the global environmental agenda, but get us closer to full implementation of the Paris Agreement and the 2030 UN Agenda. We also welcome its theme of finding innovative solutions for environmental challenges and sustainable consumption and production. These subjects are at the heart to building more sustainable and resilient cities and communities. Let me quickly outline what lies ahead for the UN climate process. With the finalization of the Katowice climate package at COP24, the world entered a new era in its efforts to address climate change. If pre-COP24 efforts focused on defining the Paris Agreement, this era is about enhancing national ambition to implement it. Why? Because the urgency for action is undiminished. Climate change continues to represent a growing danger. NDCs are designed to address this danger, however, are insufficient in limiting global temperature goal to 1.5 degrees. So, while we find ourselves in a new era, we are still running significantly behind climate change. The next 2 years are therefore crucial with respect to ambition needed to close the gap. In 2019, our task is clear: to drive the emergence of a universal political understanding that all countries will return to the table by 2020 to revisit their national commitments. To that end, we have several moments this year designed to get there, but two stand out: the Secretary General's 2019 Climate Summit in September and COP25 in Chile in December. It is essential we work throughout the UN family for this year to be a success. This assembly helps achieve that. It's also why we continue to work with the Climate Core Group and the Climate Principles to coordinate the work of the UN system in relation to climate change. UN climate change appreciates the opportunity to speak to and participate in this assembly. We continue to offer our full support to UNEP. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Sancha, for the statement. I now invite Mr. Abdallah Boksit, Secretary of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, to deliver your statement.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to present deep condolences to lives lost during the sad event in last weekend. Second, I want to present all the thanks to Republic of Korea of hosting this UNIA. And the third, I want to congratulate the executive management of UN Environment for this excellent facilitation. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, thank you for this opportunity you offer to IPCC to report on his work and also to provide all the information during this sixth cycle, which is the most intense in the 30 years of the life of IPCC. These days, any statement, any meeting, any forum is highlighting special report about 1.5. This report was requested by UNFCCC in 2015. The IPCC was tasked, and IPCC delivered in time just before COP24 and for total annual dialogue. This report has transformed the discussion about climate change, putting its back on the center of the political agenda in many countries and mobilizing thousands of young people to call for solution and action. The 4 key messages of this special report, you can read them in the back of one visit card. And this is very useful for any policymaker. Of course, this key message can just say that climate change is already affecting people all around the world. Limiting warming to 1.5 is not impossible, but need unprecedented action. There are clear benefits to limit climate change under 1.5 and under 2 degrees. Limiting climate change to 1.5 go hand in hand on all development goals, including sustainable development goals. In conclusion, we can summarize every bit of warming matters. Every year matters, and every decision and action matters. The Special Report 1.5 is only in one of the 8 reports expected for this 6th cycle. I said it is the most intense in the life of IPCC. Next May for this year, we will update the 2006 guideline for measuring greenhouse gases to offer to any country to measure in transparent way how they can provide evaluation for their emission. We will also approve a special report about land and climate change in August of this year, and also we will approve the special report about climate change, ocean and cryosphere. All this report, of course, will inform you at national level as well as international level. Also, I want to highlight something which is very, very important. All these achievements are there thanks to 3 voluntary contributions. The first, scientific voluntary contribution coming from thousands of scientists around the world working on voluntary basis. Second, financial voluntary contribution from governments that ensure the sustainability of financial situation. And I take the opportunity to
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, your time has... thank you very much. I would now invite Mr. Victor Kisop, Deputy Executive Director of UN Habitat, to take the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, partners, friends, colleagues from the United Nations, ladies and gentlemen, in this statement on behalf of the United Nations Human Settlements Program, I wish to express UN Habitat's openness to partner with UN Environment Program, member states, and all stakeholders to address the pressing urban environmental challenges of our time. The urban dimension of the environment can no longer be ignored. Today, 55% of the world's population is urban, and demographers project that by 2050, 2/3 of the people will live in cities. Increasingly, cities are where people live and make choices, where they bicycle or drive to work, where they recycle or send waste to the garbage dump, where their homes are high and dry or vulnerable to flooding and sea level rise. The world and UN Habitat is increasingly aware of the urban dimension of the environment. And in the new urban agenda, achieving environmentally sustainable urban development is one of the member states' transformative commitments. In 2 months' time, The first ever UN Habitat Assembly will take place, and it will approve a new strategic plan for UN Habitat for 2020-2025. In this plan, we have proposed that strengthening climate action and improved urban environment be adopted as one of our key domains of change. Innovative approaches are also key to the more sustainable future. In informal settlements in the Solomon Islands and Fiji, UN Habitat has piloted the use of drones and handheld devices to speed up and scale up the assessment of the environmental vulnerabilities of marginalized communities. And the Global Urban Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy, of whose board the executive director is pleased to serve, is now setting innovation as one of the 4 strategic goals. Networks of cities such as Global Covenant and offer an indispensable platform to disseminate innovative practices amongst otherwise fragmented communities of mayors and local leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, the recent report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change on Global Warming of 1.5 degrees sent us a clear message. We must act now to save our planet from the most devastating impacts of climate change. Let us partner together to achieve a more environmentally sustainable and better urban future. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Kisop, for your statement. I now invite Dr. Christiana Pasca Palmer, Executive Secretary of the Convention on Biological Diversity, to take the floor.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like first, on behalf of myself and my team at the Secretariat of the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity, to offer our sympathies and condolences to the family and the friends of those who lost their life in the tragic plane crash at the beginning of this week. Your Excellencies, biodiversity lies at the heart of this UNEA 4 Assembly. Biodiversity, which actually represents the totality of all forms of life on the planet, has an intrinsic value. But it is also the essential infrastructure that supports human life and human development and well-being. Healthy biodiversity and ecosystems are critical to the planet and all its people. They provide nature-based solutions and opportunities on many of the most critical environmental, economic, and social challenges that we face, including climate change, sustainable economic development, health, water, and food security. Nevertheless, biodiversity continues to decline at an alarming rate. Unsustainable practices in agriculture, forestry, and mining, as well as urban expansion and infrastructure development, and also fragmented governance models at the national and international levels, continue to destroy habitats and species. But hope is not lost. As with any human-made crisis, we humans also have the ability to innovate solutions. And nature-based solutions offer tremendous opportunities for all segments of global society. That is why we are expanding our engagement and outreach beyond the walls of this room. Biodiversity needs to garner more political visibility as a fundamental topic for humanity on the global agenda. To do so, we must treat biodiversity not solely as an environmental concern, but also emphasize its essential role in sustainable development and increasing opportunities for all. At the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity, we are currently working with all parties and all key stakeholders to prepare the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework at COP15 in China in 2020. This is meant to represent a transformative pathway to enable humanity to reach the vision of living in harmony with nature by 2050. Together, all of us, we must co-design the future we want and the future we need for us and our children, as well as for the planet. As we build up momentum to COP15 in China, I encourage governments to convene national consultations that involve indigenous people and local communities, subnational and local governments, the business and finance sectors, civil society, including youth and women. I also urge all parties to contribute to our new Sharm el-Sheikh to China Action Agenda for Nature and People. That was launched together by the governments of Egypt, the current presidency of our COP, and also the future presidency, China, that will catalyze, collect, and celebrate actions taken to advance biodiversity and humankind by all stakeholders. And you will find the link on our CBD website. The entire CBD Secretariat and I personally stand ready to work together at this critical moment for nature and the planet with all of you to achieve success. Thank you.
I thank Dr. Palmer for the statement. Now my pleasure to invite Mr. Rolf Paet, Executive Secretary of the Basel, Rotterdam, and Stockholm Convention.
Excellency, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would also like to join all delegations and organizations here who this morning, and on behalf of my organization, also offer our deepest sympathies and condolences to all the families for the loss of course, many of our colleagues as well and friends. Throughout this week, the relevance and importance of the Chemicals and Waste Conventions towards achieving sustainable development, the eradication of poverty and achieving a peaceful and fair world has been highlighted, thus raising awareness of the importance of making the invisible visible. We also commemorated last Monday the 30 years anniversary of the coming into force of the Basel Convention. Ladies and gentlemen, today I take the opportunity to extend to you a very warm invitation to our 2019 meeting of the Conference of the Parties of our three conventions, the Basel, Rotterdam, and Stockholm Conventions, which will be held in Geneva from the 22nd April to the 10th of May under the theme, Clean Planet, Healthy People, the Sound Management of Chemicals and Wastes. The meetings will be touching upon a number of key issues which are of relevance to this gathering, some of which include the proposal to establish a new partnership on plastic waste under the Basel Convention, as well as a proposal to amend annexes to the Convention, which are intended to increase the effectiveness of the Convention with regard to plastic waste. Secondly, under the Rotterdam Convention, 7 new hazardous chemicals will be considered for listing under the Convention. Under the Stockholm Convention, parties will be invited to consider listing a number of chemicals used in the production of non-stick kitchenware, food processing equipment, textiles, paper, paints, and firefighting foams, to just name a few. We will also be focusing on issues of technical assistance and the role our network of regional centers can play in supporting countries in building their national capacities, among other needs, to manage chemicals and waste, and accordingly we thank and invite our donors for their continued support. As we engage for a cleaner and healthier planet, I count on the commitment of your governments in responding to the recommendations of our scientific committees to consider further controls and the management of those chemicals that have been listed or will be listed. It is imperative that we make progress at each and every conference of the parties so that we can achieve the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals with regards to the sound management of chemicals and waste. With these few words, allow me to reiterate the commitment of our Secretariat in working with governments, other UN agencies, and international organizations, as well as multi-sectoral groups and the private sector in advancing the agenda on chemicals and waste. Let us together continue to make the visible invisible as we move towards a cleaner planet and also definitely healthier people. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Paet, for the statement. I now invite Mr. Marco Barbieri, Officer in charge of the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species and Wild Animals, to take the floor.
Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen,
It is a pleasure for me to deliver this statement on behalf of the Secretariats of 7 global conventions, members of the liaison group of biodiversity-related conventions, namely the International Whaling Commission, the International Plant Protection Convention, the Ramsar Convention, World Heritage Convention, CITES, CMS, and the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture. Let me start by joining previous speakers in expressing our condolences and sympathies to the families and colleagues of those who lost their lives in the plane accident last week. Based on the decisions of their governing bodies, these conventions have been cooperating to promote policy coherence at all relevant levels, to reduce duplication and to enhance coordination. UN Environment and UNEA also play an important role in facilitating synergies on issues of common interest. By aligning their individual strategic plans to the global agenda and by promoting the interlinkages between biodiversity and the Sustainable Development Goals, BLG members are contributing to moving closer to the vision set out in the future we want. Numerous examples of cooperation across our conventions are pertinent to the theme of UNEA 4, and we would like to bring attention to a few of these. To improve the sustainability in the use of natural resources and reduce environmental degradation, fragmentation, and pollution, CBD, Ramsar, World Heritage Convention, and CMS have produced tools for environmental, social, and cultural impact assessment to support planning in sectors such as transport, mining, and infrastructure. CMS, CBD, and Ramsar cooperate in the context of the Energy Task Force, a multi-stakeholder platform aiming to reconcile the deployment of renewable energy technologies with wildlife conservation. CMS and IWC are collaborating on the monitoring and mitigation of marine mammal bycatch by assessing fishing practices that impact these and other protected species. Sites of global importance, including World Heritage and Ramsar sites, remain important instruments in mainstreaming biodiversity and ensuring environmental standards and safeguards across sectors. Further, with respect to promoting sustainable use of biodiversity, UN Environment, CITES, CBD, and CMS have established with other actors a collaborative partnership on sustainable wildlife management, a voluntary coalition aiming at addressing bushmeat and other issues related to terrestrial wildlife, food security, and sustainable livelihoods. In response to concerns about the impacts of poaching and illegal logging on World Heritage properties, the World Heritage Committee launched an appeal to all member states of UNESCO to cooperate in the fight against the illegal wildlife trade, including through the implementation of CITES. And in parallel, growing attention has been given to the impact of aquatic wildlife meat consumption, in particular cetaceans, sirenians, turtles, and crocodiles. These are just a few examples. More examples are provided in the statement as uploaded to the UNEA webpage. In conclusion, the biodiversity-related conventions form a family of normative instruments that contribute to driving the environmental dimension of the 2030 Agenda. 2020 is just around the corner, marking a crucial year for biodiversity with expected adoption of a new global framework for biodiversity conservation for the following decades. UNEA 4 calls for innovative solutions to environmental challenges and biodiversity loss, is timely, and we are committed to facilitating its reflection in its own processes, whatever appropriate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barbieri, for the statement. I now invite Mr. Nikhil Seth, Executive Director of the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, to take the floor.
Distinguished Vice President of UNEA 4, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I start with my congratulations to you, Mr. Vice President, and express my appreciation for the quality of background documentation, all the Outlook reports, and particularly GEO6. These analytical products have brought to us, in a stark way, the state of our natural world. They do reinforce the vision of humanity, blindfolded, walking towards the edge of a precipice to commit collective suicide. The theme of UNEA 4 is in the direction of what my organization has consistently advocated: move to solutions through innovation, a stronger focus on implementation, Complementary to analysis and norm setting is evidently the most urgent need of the hour. The last 4 decades of our collective understanding on environmental degradation have helped us focus on the most urgent issues: climate change and the other tipping points, biodiversity loss, the pollution of air, water, and soil, our rapidly degrading marine and terrestrial ecosystems all need urgent and immediate attention. But these fears of humanity have to be addressed in a way which also addresses human hopes, dreams, and aspirations, including for decent jobs, for health, for education and information, an end to hunger, poverty, exploitation, abuse, and injustice. I just wanted to add a special emphasis on the role of youth and add my voice to all those who have said that the greatest stakeholder in the decisions that we are going to take about climate change, pollution control, biodiversity conservation, and circularity are for those people all under 20 years of age. And recent events have shown that youth not only have a stake, but they also have a voice and a growing ability to articulate what politicians and policy makers would do well to listen with their eyes wide open. At the UN's dedicated arm of training, UNITAR is committed to working with individuals, institutions, and organizations in bringing attitudinal and behavioral change through awareness, learning, and training. These are the core of capacity building, but there are millions we have to reach. We have to reach those in the informal sector, the peasants and pastoralists, the small and medium industry, business and academia, activists and government, public and private institutions. It is their collective action which determines economic growth and its quality, which provides jobs and which faces our environmental future. At UNITAR, we are concerned not only with building technical and policy-oriented skills, but also soft skills. We innovate a lot at UNITAR. The innovations are driven by social, organizational, institutional needs, driven by technology. Our objective is to upscale how many people we can reach and how many minds we can change and attitudes we can convert. We have a climate change learning platform, for example, which trains almost 230,000 people every year, built together with 30 UN entities. We are doing similarly innovative work in chemicals and waste management. We believe a lot in the applications of technology because we know that the way people learn today has changed significantly. Playing games, simulation, 3D, virtual reality are all parts of the methodological and pedagogical tools that we are using, especially for the younger generation. We are focusing a lot on innovative SDG learning. We are focusing on planning, on data, on developing dynamic system modeling to encourage multi-stakeholder engagement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seth. I now invite Ms. Mami Muzotori, United Nations Special Representative of the Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction.
Distinguished delegates, at the outset, on behalf of my organization, I would like to express our sincere condolences and sympathies to the families and friends who perished in the tragic plane crash in Ethiopia. Economic losses from disaster have risen dramatically with a doubling of extreme weather events over the last 20 years. These events affect the well-being of many of the 2.5 billion small-scale farmers who depend on agriculture for their livelihood. The agriculture sector absorbs 25% of the recorded damage and losses caused by climate-related hazards in developing countries, and drought causes 80% of this damage. Preliminary findings from a study across regions by the FAO shows that investing in innovative disaster risk reduction technologies at farm level is an effective way to reduce risk exposure and enhance the resilience of farming families to natural hazards. These include a number of innovative approaches to crop selection and infrastructure with economic benefits that are higher than the usual practices. They can include early maturing rice varieties to reduce production losses due to dry spells and floods, Rooftop water harvesting for vegetable production has also proven to be successful. Poor rural households that are dependent on rain-fed subsistence agriculture are plunged deeper into poverty when rain fail. They are often people who have been forced to occupy marginal drought-exposed land, unable to access basic irrigation technology. Water storage facilities are severely underdeveloped in many parts of sub-Saharan Africa in particular. A study demonstrated that sub-Saharan Africa has an average storage capacity of 200 cubic meters per year per capita, compared for 1,277 for Thailand and 5,961 for North America. Over 10 years ago, the total capita needs for the development of adequate water infrastructure in sub-Saharan Africa were estimated to be approximately $15 billion, which would have been a very good investment in disaster risk reduction given the huge number of drought-affected people in the region. It is time to revisit this important issue even in years without an El Niño episode. Droughts also bring significant nutritional risk to the lower-income urban households. Africa is seeing the highest urbanization rate in the world. Innovation and investment is required to meet the need of urban areas across the continent. I am here to advocate for greater inclusion of good practices on food production in national and local strategies for disaster risk reduction. Time is of the essence, as these strategies must be in place by next year if we are to fully implement the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. Hunger, chronic poverty, and the effects of climate change demand that we step up our efforts to reduce disaster risk and drought risk in particular. Success in this endeavor will reduce human need and suffering and damage to the environment. At the same time, it has the potential to reduce the prospect of political turmoil and bring down the high levels of displacement we are seeing due to extreme weather events. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Buzotori. I now invite Mr. Malcolm Johnson, Deputy Secretary General of the International Telecommunication Union. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I begin, I would like to offer my condolences on behalf of ITU to the families of the loved ones that lost their lives in last Sunday's tragic plane crash. ITU lost two dear colleagues, Meganet Abebe and Marcelino Tebo, who was here with me at last year's Environment Conference. Our thoughts and prayers go out to their families and friends. Mr. Chairman, with an ever-growing and more diverse membership, ITU serves as a platform for concerted action amongst governments, industry, civil society, academia, and is driving the digital revolution. We believe collaboration is key to bringing our own specific competencies to the common good and to ensure that we avoid duplication of effort. I would like to give three examples of how ITU is collaborating to leverage the power of technology for good and for the planet and for its people. Firstly, ITU's AI for Good Global Summit. This brings together AI innovators and public and private sector decision makers, including more than 30 UN agencies, to generate AI strategies and policies to accelerate progress towards the SDGs. Last year's summit generated 30 different projects, including, for example, satellite imagery to predict and prevent deforestation. Secondly, the United for Smart Sustainable Cities initiative. As cities account for a growing share of global carbon emissions and energy consumption, ITU is joined with UNEP and 14 other UN bodies to ensure digital technologies are smart and energy efficient and to provide tools 2 cities to measure how effective they are being in using this technology. The initiative has developed KPIs, which are currently being used in 50 different cities around the world, which will help to develop their policy and ensure that we do build smart and sustainable cities. Third and finally, the United Nations E-Waste Coalition. Each year, approximately 50 million tons of e-waste is generated. And if nothing is done about it, that figure will double by 2050. ITU joined UNEP and other UN agencies in developing an e-waste coalition. Together we are calling for a shift towards a circular cycle for electronic equipment. This will bring benefit to industry and workers, as well as the health of people and our environment. In conclusion, with more than half of the world's population now connected to the internet, let us all join together, both inside and outside the UN, to promote the use of ICTs to develop innovative solutions to these environmental challenges. This will be essential for the well-being of the planet and future generations, and I'd like to invite all interested parties to join with us in these initiatives. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I now invite Mr. Zhang Xinsheng, President of the International Union for Conservation of Nature, to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. President, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, let me begin by expressing my gratitude to our host here in Kenya and particularly you, Mr. President, on your leadership of this UNEA 4. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 70 years, IUCN has delivered nature conservation for sustainable development through an open and innovative culture, a culture that fosters participation from all, including also women, youth, and indigenous peoples. Much progress has been made. However, today's challenge of biodiversity loss, climate change, marine plastics requires today's solid solutions. New ideas, tools, business models are vital to protect the environment on which we depend on our food, our health, and even our identity. The planet is in the midst of a sixth mass extinction for coral reef, for rainforests, to insects and microbes. Much of our web of life is disappearing at a rate not seen millions of years. We need to provide a rally point to engage all the stakeholders, including public and private, and communicate the urgency of collective action, which my organization, IUCN, provides a unique platform for that. Much like what the 1.5-degree goal did for climate change, we need an apex target, a target to support post-2020 global biodiversity framework and a sustainable development goal. IUCN is a deeply engaged endeavor and welcomes all your collaboration. IUCN is also working with the government and the business to reduce more than 10 million tons of plastics that enter into ocean each year. To address this, we are developing jointly with the UNEP a plastic leakage hotspot calculator. This will provide data on how plastics make their way into waterways, allowing for more informed decisions around the production, consumption, and disposal. We have heard many statements this week expressing the will to change course. However, these statements are only as good as our resolve to put them into practice. IUCN is committed to do this part. Dear fellow colleagues, the time is now 2020 will be a watershed for environment, which 15th Biodiversity COP takes place in China and the Paris Agreement going into effect. Dear fellow colleagues, as President Macron mentioned yesterday, 2020 will also see the next IUCN World Conservation Congress, which will take place in Marseille, France, and that as voice of nature IUCN since 1948 and the only permanent observer status in UN General Assembly, this will be an extraordinary opportunity to build on the momentum here in Nairobi, so that jointly we together to shape world agenda for the nature conservation. And we are moving into a new decade to change the world for the better. We hope to see you all in June 2020, Marseille, France. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Xinjiang. I would now invite Mr. Mustafa Kamal Gueye of the International Labour Organization. You have the floor.
Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the world of work is linked to the natural environment. An estimated 1.2 billion jobs, including jobs in agriculture, in tourism, in textile, depend directly on ecosystem services. The current patterns, scale, and intensity of environmental damage has profound social consequences. Warming temperatures can cause the loss of an average of 2% of total working time by 2030. This would mean the loss of the equivalent of 72 full-time jobs. Such impacts can compromise the achievement of full and productive employment and decent work for all women and men by 2030. And this is why the message of the world of work is loud and clear. Social justice requires responses and innovative responses to environmental challenges and sustainable consumption and production. However, the changes in production and consumption systems will have a transformative impact on the world of work. We understand that millions of jobs can be created through green productivity, sustainable practices, and clean technologies. Sustainable practices in energy production and efficiency, for example, can create an additional 24 million jobs, largely offsetting any job losses. We have measured that a sustained 5% annual increase in recycling rates for plastic and other materials could generate an additional 6 million jobs. But other jobs will disappear as countries scale back their carbon and resource-intensive industries. The scale of disruption to businesses and workers that this transformation will cause should not be underestimated. However, through social dialogue, governments can work with employers, with workers' organizations, and other constituents to forge a strong social consensus that will be indispensable for a just transition for all. There is a scope for labor policies to work to advance environmental sustainability and for environmental policies to ensure decent work. For example, labor regulations on occupational safety and health can contribute to better waste management practices and safe working conditions. As the ILO celebrates its centenary this year, we are convinced that the future of work hinges on the sustainability of the planet, and we look forward to supporting the implementation of the decisions and resolutions at UNEA 4. I thank you for your attention.
I thank you, Mr. Kamal Gueye. It has come to my attention that India, you wish to exercise your right of reply. I will grant you your right of reply. You may wish to speak from the floor, and I give you 2 minutes, sir.
Okay. I have come here again in front of you to respond to misguided and improper allegations of Pakistan against India. It is unfortunate that Pakistan delegation has misused this forum and wasted the time on matters not relevant. But to put things in perspective, it is important that Pakistan delegate need to come out of denial of Pakistan's state complicity in cross-border terrorism. It would be important for them to not pollute the regional environment with insecurity by breeding terrorists and providing terrorist shelter in territories under their control. They should take credible, verifiable, and irreversible action against terrorism rather than trying to deflect global attention from their complicity in state sponsorship of terrorism. We strongly believe that this is not the forum to discuss political issues which do not deal with concerns of environment. Hence, we strongly object to the issue of non-military, preemptive, and counter-terrorism airstrike by India against a terrorist training camp of Jaish-e-Mohammed, a UN-proscribed terrorist organization, being raised here. The airstrike by India in Balakot in Pakistan was a precision and accurate strike directed at terrorists located in a terrorist training camp, and the strike was not aimed at any environmental damage. We strongly believe that issue of terrorism should not be mixed with environment and hence do not deserve to be mentioned and discussed here. India expects the government of Pakistan to take immediate and strong action against Jaish-e-Mohammed and other terrorist groups operating from their soil and territory under their control. India no longer expects token actions. We expect the international community to urge Pakistan to take immediate and concrete action to deal with terrorism emanating from their soil by implementing its solemn promise made to India in 2004 that it will not allow its soil or territory under its control to be used for terrorism against India. We expect Pakistan to dismantle the infrastructure of terrorism and bring the perpetrators to justice and to live up to its public commitment. We assure you of...
I'm sorry, India, your 2 minutes is expired. I also have received a request from Pakistan to exercise their right to reply. I invite Pakistan, you have 2 minutes.
Can you hear me? Yes. Thanks a lot. Just to put the things in right perspective from Pakistan's angle, our statement was purely encompassed the environmental aspect of an armed conflict. There could be no better place or better forum than this august house to reflect upon the environment impact of such an uncalled for and unprovoked use of military that caused damage to the pristine environment of the affected area. We have in our statement exposed an important yet extremely dark side of the military adventurism we witnessed a few weeks ago. And as far as the strike, the accuracy of the strike is concerned, it has yet to be verified by the neutral observers if it indeed did what they claim. And this is all that I have to say, this whole statement of ours was basically to expose the dark side of this military intervention by the Indians. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have now concluded our list of speakers. We will adjourn the session and continue the closing plenary session this afternoon at 3 p.m. in the same room. Allow me now to invite the Secretary to make any housekeeping announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 3 little points. First of all, again, the statements will be online on the website of UNEA, on the videos as well as the written statements. So for the delegations that have not sent their written statements, please do so. Then I'm informed as well that the DSA payments will go on until 1 p.m. In conference room 8, and I just realized it's 1 p.m. But I'll inform you. We can come and ask at the conferences services if you want more information on that. And then I also would like to thank the interpreters who have gone an extra mile today and granted us these extra 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Secretariat. Thank you, everyone. I declare the meeting adjourned.